Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody, for taking a week early to come to school, especially our new student rep. Thank you and welcome. Just for the audience and for going forward, you're going to see the school board members having their computers open. The reason for this is we're trying to go to a more of a paperless format, so we're reviewing a lot of our information on our computers. If you are here for public comment, we will definitely be entertaining. We will make sure to make eye contact, but if you see us with our computers open, we are not multitasking. We are just making sure that we follow along with our agendas that we have, and that will be posted out there. With that being said, we will move on to correspondence. Mr. Bulkey.
This evening we have correspondence. The board received correspondence thanking the school district from Katie Myers on behalf of the Goffstown Homeschool Network. We donated some of our old reading materials to the group and they were able to put them to good use. So I wanted to make sure the board saw that correspondence from them.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Very good. Moving to good news. So this is where we're going to start with Siobhan. Am I saying that correctly, or is it Siobhan? Yeah. Okay, just want to make sure. Talk about good news and how we're going to be starting, and then we'll move on to our administration.
So fall sports are already underway with tryouts having already happened for things like soccer. Also, just this afternoon, student council had their first full meeting and finished writing names on the starbursts that we put around the school for the first day.
Great, thank you very much. We'll move on. Assistant
Sure.
Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Talbot. So just a few things. We're just really proud of the summer theater programming that happened here at Goffstown High School and at Mountain View this summer. So a special thank you to people who volunteered to make that happen, all of our staff and students who participated in that. We also want to thank all of our students and families for a very successful extended school year program that we ran for not only some of our students with special ed concerns, but also our students who need an intervention or needed some help transitioning over to Mountain View Middle School as incoming fifth graders. I'll also be talking a little bit later about some professional development that we had going on, and a special thank you to all of our custodians. The buildings look phenomenal and we're really excited to have staff back tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Any good news or accommodations from the school board members? Ginny.
Yeah. I would like to commend the library for their yearly reading program during the summer. And I was particularly impressed this year. They had all kinds of activities out on the lawn, STEAM activities, craft activities, art activities, just all kinds of activities for the kids during the summer to participate, not only with friends, but to meet new kids around. Also on Saturday, I'm kind of disappointed because I remember the 200th anniversary of our country and the celebrations we had, and I see very few 250th ones. But they did a really cute little celebration for the kids at the library, and they did a time capsule, and they explained what a time capsule was, and each of the departments, town departments, gave a little trifle to put in the time capsule. And there weren't any town officials there, but I raised my hand and said, yes, there is. I'm here from the school board. So I made sure they knew that the school board was interested in the time capsule. And the kids all got to write a message and put it in the time capsule, which will be sealed, I think, Friday and be opened up in 50 years. So I thought that was a really cool thing to teach kids about, you know, looking forward in the future, and they look back and see these cool things that, oh, gee, I never saw this before. That was what they, you know, in the olden days. So I commend the library for always doing interesting and learning activities for the kids during the summer.
Thank you, Jenny. Any other board members? Good news accommodation? Very good. Moving on then, we will open up with public comment. Is there any public comment that we have for any, to be shared to the board? If not, seeing none, we will close public comment at this time. Moving on to our next agenda item, the approval of the June 15th board meeting minutes. Didn't know if people had an opportunity to review those minutes.
Adam, we're all waiting on you.
I'm good with it.
Just checking for accuracy, not punctuation.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Ginny. I got a motion by Ginny, seconded by?
Second.
Second by Dan. Any further questions or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Any abstentions? 800. Great, moving on to finance reports. We'll turn it over to Mr. Taunton.
Great, thank you. So as we start a new year, for those watching at home, any finance report that we're talking about as far as the manifest summary, as well as a check register, you can find online. If you went to the district website and then you clicked on finance and then went to the folders, you will see them from last year, which we're going over June, as well as July and August, which is for our current fiscal year 27. So we have 3 manifests to approve tonight. So very exciting for anyone who loves numbers at home as well. So the first one is an end date of June 24th, has a total amount of $5,578,579.44. It includes the following key items for payroll, taxes, and benefits, a total of $4,338,966.01. Total payroll was $2,359,793. This was one pay period for the hourly and year-round staff, as well as a multiple end-of-year last payment for anyone in the GEA union as they get their last paycheck of the year. Special education, total amount of $141,049.26, and that's for vendors of payments equal to $5,000 or greater. $89,901 went to Durham School Services for transportation. As we look at general expenses, we had a total of $984,303.04. Some key amounts for that was $314,721 to Manchester School District for the final MST school year 25 tuition. So not last year, school year 26 tuition, but school year 25 tuition. I'll finish up this and then I'll go a little bit further into MST after that. $295,035 went for the board-approved reading program. $178,679 went to Goffstown Truck for transportation. $136,405 went to SAU for Goffstown's share of the assessment. $30,050 went to Best Door and Lock for door replacements at the high school. And for food service, we had a total amount of over $5,000 to vendors of $15,685, and all of that went to performance food service for food and commodities. So as we go back to MST, so again, we now have our final numbers from school year 25, so not last year, but the year before. We received the invoice, I think, sometime in June. So total amount of tuition billed to Goffstown for Goffstown New Boston students was $875,000. So the understanding and kind of the RSA is that Goffstown pays 25% of that, which we had already paid, and that would have been $219,000. The state then would pay the final 75%, which is $656,000. For me, it makes a lot of sense that the state would pay that because we're talking about careers, getting people in careers such as plumbing, healthcare, electrical, things that would benefit the state, people that we want staying in the state. And I know if I try to call an electrician, it's not easy to connect with one. So we need more people going into this, and it benefits Goffstown students because they get to kind of have choice in their education and then kind of see where their talents and their hard work can kind of lead to in the future. So the state was 75% is $656,000. They paid $342,000. So instead of Goffstown paying 25% of the total, Goffstown paid 61% of the total. So definitely challenging to have that when we had paid our 25%. we had paid it on time. And then even though we're now expecting these extra invoices, it doesn't make it easier for the taxpayers or for the school district to absorb an extra $314,000 for that. So I don't know if there's any.
I have a comment, thank you. This is just more examples of the downshifting of costs from Concord down to the local level. So this puts us in a situation where we're either going to increase our budget because the state is no longer paying their fair share, or we have to limit the number of kids and the number of programs that kids can participate in. So as we continue to struggle with how we fund our public schools in the state of New Hampshire, here's another example when we should be investing in programs like vocational training and programming for kids, that we're going to be in a situation that you either can't afford it, you need to start cutting back the number of kids, restricting the number of programs, etc. Whereas in the past, we've tried to allow kids who wanted to try these programs, we would let them. So again, as we're almost on the verge of getting into the FY28 budget, it's just another example of the downshifting of costs from Concord to the local community, and it just doesn't seem to be that important. So it's frustrating to me as somebody who believes in these programs, and it's frustrating to me to watch as we continue to put the burden on property taxpayers to cover the bill.
I know there's going to be several questions, but before we get in, statements, but before we get into statements, any questions for Doug about the manifest? If not, we will move over to comments then. Shane, I saw your hand up first.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on Brian and Doug's comments. Just because the state does use access to career and technical education as one of their indicators for college and career readiness. Yep. So that is something that the state judges, or I guess rates our school, or uses. It's one of the metrics they use to rate how well our schools are doing. So without access to those programs, we would take a hit there. So now we're unfortunately paying quite a bit more than we were, but it's very important programming. So it's something we have to figure out how to pay for.
Ginny.
And I continually hear people saying, all kids don't have to go to college. Instead of getting all kids ready for a four-year college program, we should be getting more kids into trade programs. Everyday parents say that all the time. I hear it multiple times. And so I don't understand why that isn't following through to the state level. That this is something that parents are looking for, because we need plumbers, we need HVAC people, we need those people, and all kids aren't academians, all kids aren't going to go into professions that need a four-year college. So why aren't we making sure that these kids have the opportunities that they need to go forth in what interests them?
Thank you, Judy. Dan, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I just want to express, not only is it not the fair share, it's the agreed upon share. The language in the RSA specifically calls out 25% from the community. Not 25%-ish, which turned into 61. I'm disappointed as a board member who has to pay the bills. I'm disappointed as a taxpayer who has to also pay the bills. And I would like to call out for everybody watching at home that it is more money than we asked the town for in the CRF deposit. That's it. Thank you.
Other comments? Good. I'll accept a motion to accept the manifest as presented. That would be by Dan, seconded by Greta. Okay, any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting the June 15th to 24th manifest signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? We are unanimous. Please continue.
All right, thank you. So the next manifest has an end date of July 29th and a total amount of $4,553,685.74. Payroll taxes and benefits totaled $2,576,151.35. Total payroll was $478,536, which represented 2 pay periods. For special education, total amount of $294,116.53. Of that, two key places was $112,248 to Seven Hills for out-of-district services, $94,505 to Durham School Services for transportation. So as we move into this July 1, I'll note that it's both for fiscal year 26 and fiscal year 27 expenditure. So it's a combination of the two. For general expenses, there was a total of $1,556,334.29. $300,000 went to the trustee of trust funds to be put into the town-approved CRF deposit. So again, thank you to the taxpayers for pushing $300,000 into the CRF. $262,729 went to SAU 19 for the Goffstown share of assessment. So each year the assessment starts with a larger number in July and it keeps decreasing as we go throughout the months. $261,829 went to Bank of America for the yearly lease payment 2 of 17 for the EMC project. $167,303 went to Pinnacle Public Financing for yearly payment 13 of 15 for the Honeywell project. $146,580 went to Primex for property and liability insurance. $91,862 went to Goffstown Truck for transportation. $62,633 went to Power School for software that included the student information system and Schoology. $39,099 went to Stanley Elevator. Most of that was for fixing the labor and the parts for the high school elevator. $36,655 went to Eversource for electricity. And for food service, we had one vendor over $5,000, and that was EMS Link, which is a software service for the point of service as well as how the parents pay. That's $7,508.
Any questions for Doug on this manifest? Any comments? I will entertain a motion to accept the manifest as presented from Dan, seconded by Retta. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting the manifest signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? We are unanimous. And for the third one, Doug.
All right, last one, August 17th end date, total amount of $1,443,550.59. Payroll taxes and benefits total of $497,214.57. Total payroll, $276,769, which represented one pay period. Special education, $225,554.48. Of that, $79,159 went to Durham School Services for transportation. $39,698 went to Literacy Learning Solutions for special education contracted services. For general expenses, we had a total of $568,724.33. So three key ones were $238,845 to SAU 19 for Goffstown share of the assessment, $94,070 to Manchester School District for school year 26 MST semester 2. So that was the second semester from last year. $44,522 to Wally Computer for IT equipment. And for food service, we had $6,650 to Thermostore for walk-in freezer sensors. So for the MST, just let people know, we have less students that attended, roughly 15 less roughly, last year compared to school year 25. And actually, MST's tuition was down 1.5% last year. So if we project out 61% of what the final bill might be for us, you know, that we would receive sometime in January or after, for fiscal year 26, it would be about $259,000.
Any questions for Doug? Any comments? None. I will entertain a motion to accept the manifest as presented.
Motion.
Motion by Dan, seconded by Retta. Keep a good thing going. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are unanimous. Okay, moving on to our next item, impact fees.
All right, so some good news. So we tend to use this one as a time to kind of talk about where impact fees currently are. So last year, you know, I think we talked a little bit in June about it. That would have been the May balance, which was about a half a page as you kind of looked at the impact fees. Now, the July 31st balance is a page and a half. So a lot of those new developments have now paid their impact fees. So May 31st, $390,000. July 31st, about $757,000. So an increase of around $366,000, which is great. I think we're going to talk about the use of impact fees in a little bit, but just to let you know, when we were talking about the use of it in June, we were around $390,000. Now, when we talk about it, we get to talk about having $757,000, which is great.
Okay. Any questions? I know that this is going to come back, so we can kind of table those questions for later. Okay, revenue expense reports.
Yeah, so we have July here for both revenue and expenses. As you can see, for revenue, there's not a lot that comes in July. It's the agreed upon amount that we get for the taxes, the local taxes for education, but the state payments don't really start coming in until October. For expense reports, what will happen at next board meeting is I'll bring a list of the transfers for the positions that we weren't able to hire, whether that be OT or speech, because what we do is we take the money out of the salaries and benefits and then we put it in professional services. So somewhere, if you're looking here, you might see a negative or money left over. Some of that will be transferred with the board permission at the next meeting as well. So these reports are also available online for anyone to see.
Doug, have you gotten or fielded questions from the public on any of our reports that we have for expense or revenue?
Possibly one. I'm thinking of possibly one question that was not from our check register. There was one question I believe that came in about expenses maybe.
Yeah, I just didn't know if we need to prepare for something for the upcoming budget session, if there's any questions that you continually get, but it doesn't sound like we do. But
I was just going to share that we've had a couple of right-to-know requests that the check register being online was the data that people were looking for. So people looking for certain expenditures, I'm able to point them to the website and say, every expenditure is right there. You're welcome to go see yourself.
Yeah.
So it's been good in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Doug. Moving on, audit and all other finance stuff.
Yeah, so definitely a lot here. So the on-site audit occurred last week, and that was when Plotzik and Sanderson, our auditing firm, came in. So typically they come in with 5 people. There was 8 of them. So a lot more people to have asking us questions. Big thank you goes to both the schools as well as the SAU. There's a lot of people that chip in, kind of on a daily basis. The audit isn't something that, though it happens in a week, it's accounting for all the transactions that occur during the year before that. Heather Kelly, the assistant BA, leads up that, partially because of her knowledge. Her accounting knowledge is far superior to mine and anyone else that we work with, type of thing. So she gets us in a really good spot. And what also has gotten us in a good spot is just kind of the history going back, 8 or so years of the processes that have been put in place by the former BA and the former assistant BA. And what we try to do is kind of keep those processes going, because it's worked for Plotzik and Sanderson, and we try to keep on fine-tuning it each year. So it's about respecting the taxpayer's dollar and making sure that we know that each penny is accounted for, and then when the auditors come in, that they can find backup for every expense and every revenue that they want to. So we do not shy away from any questions that they ask. We ask them to ask questions. We ask them to tell us what to do better. So it's always great working with them, because they are also a wealth of information for us as well. So the audit was finished in 3 days when it typically takes 4, but we don't have any of the final numbers yet or the adjusting journal entries yet. So they're going to get back to us, I believe, sometime this week. So it would be typically now where we'd have the board make their second decision on how much to retain in the contingency fund. But we can't really do that without knowing the fund balance at this point. So it would have to be pushed to the September meeting, which once we push that to the September meeting, we're also pushing the DOE 25, which again is the yearly report which I create, which is to the penny for the state, which has to do with our expenditures and revenue. And that feeds into the MS 25, which goes to the Department of Revenue, which then helps create the tax rate as well. So we will still have that done by the end of September, but it's looking like typically we might present the DOE 25 at a school board meeting, where this time I'll probably have to send it out for electronic, but just let people know, we go down to the penny, and then after I complete the DOE 25, which is again all of fiscal year 26, the Plodzik checks it over as well. So we're one of the few districts, and I believe every district should do this, that has their auditors also check over the information which is going into the state, because again, it's not only going to the Department of Education, but it's going to the DRA, which is the tax rate setting as well. So it's a great practice that was started before my time, and it's something that we will definitely continue. But that's kind of pushing some decisions down a little bit. With that being said, there is, I passed this out, and this should look familiar because this is exactly pretty much what we looked at the June 15th one, as we saw that New Hampshire House Bill 1610 had passed, but we didn't know if it would be signed or not. So it was vetoed by the governor, and this was a contingency fund. So again, these are contingency funds in New Hampshire, are something which for years there's been local control over. Taxpayers could vote whether they wanted a contingency fund or not. Goffstown taxpayers voted twice, once to start it up at 2.5%, and once when 5% was allowed, they voted to have it be a maximum of 5%. So that local control was there. This House bill was looking to kind of take away from that local control and zero out contingency funds. So contingency funds are used for unexpected expenses when you're talking about typically some of the most costly buildings that a town owns, being their schools, and the fact that there are hundreds, thousands of people that walk through it on a daily basis, and you have expensive HVAC equipment, you have septic systems, you have a lot of things that are capital assets that are expensive, and that, well, you might plan that they might go, you might also hope that they might last another 5 years as well. So it's a great tool that Goffstown voted in to have a reserve, so in case something does happen, it can be taken care of without impacting the education of the current students. So luckily, that is still a possibility for us. So one thing that the auditors are looking for, and one thing that we talked about with the board in June was, let's earmark some things that we might do. Let's decide in June what we know we're going to do, and then let's decide in June what we're going to come back to the board for kind of final approval to move forward with. So one thing that we knew we were going to move forward with, that the board approved, was the middle school generator. So that is the generator that had been working for years, and when it didn't work, just like any other generator, we brought somebody out, they would fix it, they would, replace a part or two or more parts, and then it came to a point where they didn't have the part to fix it, and they couldn't produce the part that fixed it, and therefore we could not use it anymore. So definitely unexpected, because typically things can get fixed. So that, good news on that, we had kind of earmarked to $510,000 because we didn't know, we wanted to make sure the electrical work was done right too. The contract just got signed for $353,000. So that is $157,000 less. So good news on that. So that one has already moved forward. There's one other one on here which has already moved forward as well, and that was the bleacher repairs. So that was for $11,000, and that came from an inspection. So we got to a point where we had to move forward with that, knowing that the bleachers are going to be occupied, starting now in a way too, and not if they're not even occupied in the summer. So we didn't want to sit on that anymore. So we did move forward with that because that was a safety one. We want to touch base about 3 more tonight and see if the board wants to touch base about any more, because we have not moved forward with, unless there was a security thing lower down as far as if a camera broke, obviously we move forward with replacing that camera. So anything safety wise, we haven't moved forward as far as like if something says like 30,000 down there, we might have bought like 1 camera or something. We only move forward with things that were broken, which is how we always act with anything that's safety related. We always look to fix it as soon as we can. So the 3 items that we're looking to kind of discuss both tonight and at the meeting in September is the replacement plow and sanding vehicle. So even though state inspections aren't mandatory anymore, because we have our vehicles on town roads and we want to make sure that they're safe for the people that we employ, we have all of our vehicles still go through the state inspection. So it was during that time where more information was found in regards to the exhaust and other repairs that were needed that totaled, I think it was over $11,000. So we paused at that point because we didn't know how much sense it made to throw $11,000 towards a truck, which is used for sanding. Therefore, you get the impact of that as well from 2012. So a discussion we wanted to have was, does it make sense still to move forward with purchasing that truck, which, good news for that, even though it's like an F-350, with the state bid, it would be around $75,000. So that's one that we wanted to discuss with the board. Another one is the Promethean boards. So we had earmarked $150,000. We're looking to possibly move forward with $36,000 to replace some Promethean boards. We had about 4 of them break last year. They're about $2,800 each. We sent out a survey last year as far as how people use them, how much they use them, do they still want them? They definitely still do. It does make a lot of sense, even though limiting the amount that maybe a student has a computer in front of them, kind of having it work best for that learning. The teacher is still going to be presenting, on a board, and it's nice to be able to interact with that board as well. So we're looking to purchase 12 of those, knowing that they're just another year older. If we had 4 fail last year, we're going to continue to have them fail this year as well. They are out of service boards, so if something happens and they're not working, then we contact the company. But because they're out of service, we don't know when the company is going to fix it or if they're going to fix it.
They don't make parts for those anymore.
So that's a little bit difficult as well. And then for more of a September conversation, we're looking more into the Bartlett roof section replacement. We want to we just had a lot of rain. We want to see how that impacted it. So kind of good timing on the rain that happened the last couple days, as well as now that we're into the school year, we want to see how long it would take for that roof replacement to happen. Because whenever you replace a roof, it's loud, and right now we're at a point where students are going to join us pretty soon. So we want to bring more information to the school board on that one next September, not this September, our next meeting, but wanted to touch base about the plow truck as well as some of the Promethean boards. So I don't know if there's anything that Brian or Wendy want to add.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is the Promethean boards are end of life, and so a $36,000 replacement gets us to the point that we can replace the ones that aren't currently working and have and can't be serviced. The plow truck, the status of the plow truck, we do rely on that truck, even though the town does our roads and our parking lots. We have a couple of vehicles that we also use as supplemental plowing. This is the only one that we have with a sander. So this vehicle is important for us to be able to keep our parking lots clear and sanded, and we do that in collaboration with the town. So I would recommend moving forward, the board strongly considering the replacement of that truck. $75,000 is, if you haven't been truck shopping in a while, is actually a really, really good deal. I know that sounds crazy. A lot of people's first homes maybe cost less than $75,000, but this is an F-350, a commercial grade truck, and they are very expensive. That's the state contract price, so we think that that's actually a really good deal. And the Bartlett roof section, we have been, we always try to keep so this is a rubber membrane roof, and this particular section is the oldest section of the building. We have done endless repairs to it, and it's been to the point that when we have significant rain events, it is leaking. So it impacts the school. We have to go in and replace ceiling tiles. We have to dry things out and clean it up. So Doug's right. We've asked Mr. Loring to get some updated information, but that section of the roof, we are thinking it is getting about time that we need to do that section of the roof. So the rest of these, again, I would thank the board for your willingness to consider the model that we presented to you at your retreat, looking at the possibility of the contingency fund being liquidated. I think that this list shows that we use these funds very responsibly. We have very specific capital needs for our buildings. And as Doug said earlier, the schools in Goffstown are the most valuable things that the taxpayers own, and we have to take care of these buildings. So everything else on this list, we will continue to keep on the list, and we will continue to focus on these things. Many of the safety projects, we would likely anticipate submitting for a future safety grant. As the board recalls, last year we didn't get any approved, because they chose to approve districts that hadn't had quite as many approved in the past. So we've done very well through those rounds, but those would be my additional comments.
Okay. Wendy?
May I also mention that knowing that our current Promethean boards were getting to end of life, we did some research and looked at some different active panels during last spring. And during the summer, we actually piloted boards to make sure that it had the usability that our teachers would need in their classroom beyond the information that we got from that survey. And that pilot went really well during summer programming. So we have a board that we've picked out, that we've got really good reviews on, that we're ready to go with.
Dan?
Question 4 about the truck. Is there another truck in your fleet that the sander could go on?
There is not.
There is not. And then for the roof section, Adam raised a great question earlier in the evening, would that be more appropriate from a CRF standpoint due to the nature of the repair for a building?
It certainly could be, and we can talk about which bucket of money it makes the most sense for it to come out of, but arguably either one. Either one. Yep.
Other questions that we have? Laura?
Just wanted to clarify about the Promethean boards. You said 4 stopped working, and then the cost, is it $36,000 for 12?
For 12 of them. They're around $2,800 a piece.
Okay. And this is it still a Promethean board? Because you said there are no parts made anymore, or is it some kind of new
It's a
product?
different brand.
Okay.
It's called Sonic View is
Okay.
the new brand that we would be looking at.
Okay.
Are those 2,800 a pop?
They are.
Yeah. Okay.
Other questions? Seeing no questions, any additional comments that we have? Okay. So Doug, I was looking through our minutes that we approved earlier, but do we need a motion for the bleacher repairs since that was something that we already moved forward with? I believe that was covered as an action from our off-site retreat.
I think we're good on that, Doug. Didn't we pay for that with general funds?
We did pay for that already with, plan on paying for that with
So
general funds.
no action required in terms of accessing the
Yeah.
contingency fund.
Yeah.
So there's an ask by the administration. Let's start with replacement of the plow truck. Specifically on that item, are there any questions or comments or motions that we want to make for what has been presented to us by the administration? Shane?
I just want to say that when I was reading through this list and I saw that the replacement plow and sanding vehicle would be $75,000, I also had the thought that it seemed like a really good deal. So I would be supportive of that because I think trucks by themselves these days are running up in that area. Anyway.
Vanessa?
This might be a silly question, but it's on the town partnership allows for most of the plowing and sanding to get done. If our sander didn't work, could the town just continue to, like whatever this truck is doing, would the town absorb that work for us if this wasn't
They
replaced?
could. This truck allows us to, instead of calling them for, areas of the parking lot that might need to be redone or areas that need a little extra attention, it just allows us to take care of it ourselves. And so the town also comes very early, very often, so they might come at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and by the time school's opening, we might need to do another scrape or put some sand down. And to Shane's point, this is the only vehicle that we have that can hold a sander.
Right.
You think about a commercial sander in the back of a truck, that's what it is. The town is, I would continue to thank the town for their work doing all of our plowing and sanding. But this is just the little extra that we need when they can't get here all the time, and they count on us, I think, to be using this to do our own, cleanup when we can. We also use our tractor here at the high school to do some of that work. So we have other vehicles that we use, but this is the only truck that we have that's kind of like a full-on, plow truck with a sander in the back.
Ginny?
I think the the DPW also is short on manpower these days, and their budget has been cut back significantly. So I personally feel bad in calling them, to say, well, we've got this little thing over here, could you come and fix it for us? When, we should have the stuff to do it if they've already gone through once.
And sometimes
Just my thought.
it's just the timeliness of it. So instead of waiting, if we have a slippery parking lot and we have children arriving or we have staff arriving, we need to take care of that immediately. And so the town does the best they can, but as you said, they have limited resources, they have limited staffing. So it could be that we might need to wait 35 minutes or an hour, and by the time that they might come, it's kind of too late.
I will say, I'm struggling a little in the whole conversation, because in my mind, a contingency fund it's not meant for emergencies, but it's those unexpected things, right? And you might recall back when we talked about this in June, I was one of the only no votes on it, right? Because I think we need to be real transparent with taxpayers of what we are using our contingency fund for and what we're asking for. To me, this plow truck is, I can get behind that, right? I think that's a necessary thing that failed that we weren't necessarily expecting to fail as quickly as it was. It's necessary for safety to have our schools open. I can get behind the plow truck for this. The Bartlett roofing section, I want to explore the CRF thing. The Promethean boards, we can talk about that after that. I'm struggling with coming out of contingency funds, but this to me sort of rises to that emergent sort of need here.
Thank you, Adam. Further questions, Dan?
One comment, one question. Comment, this is cheap for a truck. Question, Scott, this might be for you, but is this in our CIP anywhere, replacing this truck?
Plow truck in the CIP, Scott? Yep.
Where? Where did we put it? Was it soon, or are we banking on this?
Couple years out, I think. He can look it up.
I should know. It's just a lot of lines on that thing.
While we're waiting on the response to that, from our current plow truck, has that been fully depreciated from an accounting standpoint? Is that at a zero financial value?
I can look that up as well.
Or are we going to have any residual value for this if we tried selling it or donating it to the DPW?
Our goal would be definitely to get some value out of it, yeah. So, let me look.
So from a capitalization standpoint, if it's been fully depreciated at this point? I'm just song and dancing so that Scott can get an answer.
Jay, can I ask?
Yes, please.
While they're looking, is this for a purchase or a lease too?
Purchase.
Do we explore the other options or?
We have not explored leasing because we generally don't put a lot of miles, but they're hard miles on them.
Sure.
So I don't believe that we've explored leasing in the past for plow trucks or heavy equipment like that.
Follow-up question.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
have we ever subbed this out? Like just gotten bids for another plow company to supplement what the town does for us?
We have not. And I think so sort of the premise of an on-call service, I would anticipate would be pretty expensive because you would pay a premium for kind of being
On call.
on call.
Yeah.
So generally, our thought has been to have our own employees do it with equipment that we own so that we can just get to it straight away.
Sure.
We costed out doing some plow work at New Boston a number of years ago, and commercial plow contracts are incredibly expensive, particularly if you if you kind of have that, we need it done ASAP immediately, as opposed to, yeah, you can get to me a little later in the day. We can't be that. We have to be priority one, roads and parking lots cleared for students and staff straight away. And that comes at a premium. And so generally we've tried to avoid those kind of contracted services.
So as far as depreciated, I'm seeing that the 2012 truck is fully depreciated.
Great.
Good.
Thank you, Doug. I know Scott's working very hard in the back, but is there any further questions that people have to be informed for a decision?
And we're just talking the truck right now.
Just talking about the truck right now. Okay. Scott, we'll make a decision on abstention, if that's okay with you, Dan?
You're good.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I'll entertain a motion for anybody that wishes to make one specifically about the plow truck. Include in your motion, please indicate the fund that it would be coming from.
I'll make a motion for the replacement of the plow and sanding vehicle for $75,000 out of the contingency fund balance.
Okay. Can you just do a friendly amendment? Can we say up to 75,000?
I will take a friendly amendment. Up to.
Thank you.
Okay, Shannon, you seconded that.
And second.
Okay.
It's very friendly.
Any further questions or comments? As a comment, I try to stay out of the comments and questions, but I want to concur what Adam said. I also was the no vote on this, and I am aligned with Adam on his statement on this. That being said, any further questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor of this motion for replacement of the plow truck of up to $75,000 coming from the contingency fund, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are unanimous. Okay, moving on to the Promethean boards. Again, you heard the administration talk a little bit about the Promethean boards. What questions do we have remaining on the Promethean boards to make an informed decision? If not, what comments do people have for the Promethean boards? Yes.
I would just share, this is a tiny fraction of all the boards that we have. So just, I don't want the board to think that this takes care of the Promethean boards that are old in our schools. This is the 10 or 12 worst ones that aren't currently functioning. We still have a larger need, which is to replace all of these boards. These are about 8 years old at this point. And much like your cell phone, an 8-year-old cell phone probably doesn't kind of work all that great, and you can't get support for it anymore. So I appreciate the support on this, but just to let the board know, I just want to make sure everybody's clear. This is a portion of the old Promethean boards that we have.
Thank you. Yes, Laura.
I was just going to say, I understand the sentiment of it, contingency funds being for emergency. I think based on the survey of especially the elementary level, it felt like the general consensus was that the teachers felt strongly about using them in the classroom. And so how many total boards are there if you said this is just a small portion? If this is 12 replacing
100?
100.
12 would not even cover Glen Lake, if we're thinking about it
Yeah.
in totality. It would not even cover Glen Lake.
Okay. So I just think that given the nature of the survey results and how they're old and dying, I would support this as emergency.
Shane?
And just to clarify, this would be to replace the failed Promethean boards with the new brand, not the Promethean brand.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Just a comment that we have, as a community, delayed replacing a lot of technology for a long time, and that leads to this.
The other thing it leads to is it potentially leads to IT vulnerabilities. So old equipment is problematic from a cybersecurity perspective. So we want to continue to replace old things with newer things that are more secure.
Other questions? Dan? I'm sorry, Ginny.
I think they're valuable, especially in the elementary classrooms, because the children can participate and they really enjoy it. So I think they're like an important tool in an elementary classroom. The teacher can do lessons, but the children can also get on and use them to participate also. It's not all paper and pencil necessarily that they do by themselves, but it's a thing where a shy kid can get up and do their answer and participate. So I think they're good things to have in classrooms, especially for elementary students.
Okay. Yes, Retta.
I'm curious to know a little more from Adam about the concern about it coming from the contingency. From what I'm gathering, everybody's in favor of the boards in general. It's just where the money's coming from. And if that's something, I'm wondering if that's something we need to discuss, or are we saying it should come from the contingency fund?
So, I mean, for me, the problem is coming from contingency fund. I have no problem with Promethean boards. I think they're very useful tools, right? And put them in the budget, and I'll vote for them most likely. But our contingency fund is money. I don't know, like I say, it's unexpected expenses to me. Like, that's what this is for. It's not that we have extra money and these are more things we want. And I know this is more than that. These are like failing boards. But in stewardish, as stewards of our tax dollars, I don't think this is the means for the contingency fund, right? And I think when we do things like this, that's what causes them to go up in Concord and try to get rid of our contingency fund, right? Like, in the sake of transparency, if we want more Promethean boards, then we need to put them in the budget and have that conversation. And that budget goes through us, goes through the budget committee, goes through public hearings, and goes to the vote. Like, that's what I want to see, right? So when there are things that fail that we don't expect to fail, or there are things that, lead to safety issues, like, the sanding truck or whatever, like, that to me is what the contingency fund is intended for, and that's how I would like to see it used.
Shane had his hand up first.
Yeah, I don't disagree with Adam's sentiment at all. My argument would be that we have these, how many boards? 4 that have failed?
Four failed just this summer.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to mention that we had our interns as part of our IT department. We run tests on all of our equipment before the teachers come back, and that's when we found those 4 boards had failed. So this is not something that we knew about, to Adam's point, back in June. It's when they've sat for a little while, we went to turn them back on, and now those are not working.
Yeah. So I don't disagree with your sentiment at all, but I would say that we didn't plan for these boards breaking this summer. So we had not budgeted for them. And so I would say that the contingency fund would be an appropriate use at this point. It's in my opinion.
Vanessa, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I'm echoing what Adam feels as well. Contingency to me has popped up, accidental, unexpected, safety-wise. And if we're expecting 10% to fail every year of whatever the number is, then that's what we should be putting aside. If that's not sufficient anymore, then we should tick up that percentage, but I don't feel like it should come out of the contingency fund. To me, that doesn't hit. Nobody's arguing that the boards aren't useful, they are. It's just, where does it come from?
Just as a friendly reminder, whatever motion is made, if any, we can dictate what fund it comes out of, so it doesn't have to be contingency fund if we're looking for consensus. Other questions or comments? So there is an ask by the administration for 12 Promethean boards up to $36,000 for those replacements. And I should say replacement of Promethean boards, not Promethean boards themselves, would be purchased. I'll entertain any motion somebody wishes to make, inclusive of the fund that it would be coming from.
This isn't a motion.
Okay, comment, go ahead.
It's an idea. So if we had 4 boards that failed, would it be appropriate to replace the 4 boards from the contingency fund? Sorry, my words aren't working tonight. Would that make people more comfortable if we replace the 4 that have failed?
Do 4 fail every year normally? 12?
I think we
8?
had 6 others that failed last year. That's how I got to the number 10. So it was 4 this summer. I think that
Yes,
there
it was
were
4 this
another
summer.
6 that happened during the year. So we had 10 boards die.
And those haven't been accounted for yet.
No.
And I think the real rub here is that we all agree that we should have these things. We're upset with ourselves and our predecessors about not budgeting it appropriately. But we need the 10 plus 2, and coming from a world where spare parts are important, it's not going to be 6, it's going to be 8. It's a crap situation, and we have only so many ways to solve the problem. We've got a hammer, and that's it, so everything's a nail.
So do I understand we have 10 non-functioning boards?
That is what that would be my reference to what the administration said, and the ask is to those 10 plus 2.
Okay.
So a total of 12.
And these boards, we haven't had a chance to budget.
Everybody will answer that differently, I think. But if the administration wishes to answer that or respond to that.
I mean, the reality is, we probably need to be looking at about a $250,000 annual budgetary allocation just for the replacement of existing IT infrastructure. So as we sit here in FY27, we easily could have used another $250,000 to $500,000, and we would need to continue that year after year to begin to make any dent into the IT needs of this school district. And I would share, this is in a school district that is not a one-to-one device environment. We have chosen not to pursue a one-to-one device. This doesn't even account for that. These are just the tools that the teachers are using in the classroom. So could we have budgeted for this? Yes. Should we budget for several $100,000 of IT replacements every year for the next probably 5 to 10 years? We should. In addition, I probably need another 3 to 5 people in the IT department to make it all work. So you want the reality of Goffstown School District technology? That's the reality.
So right now, we have 10 elementary classrooms that have non-functioning Promethean boards. Am I
We
correct?
had 4 that have failed over the summer.
We had 4 that
6
failed over the
last year.
summer, and we bought, I believe we bought
The-
some used ones last year.
We did. We bought some used ones last year, from my understanding. Ginny, I also want to be clear, not all of them were from the elementary school. Some of them were from here at Goffstown High
Okay,
School.
okay.
So I just want to make sure that that's Goffstown, not just, the elementary buildings.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? Yep, I'm sorry, go ahead, Retta.
So would it be reasonable to fund this, I guess this is a question for the full board, would it be reasonable to fund this from the contingency with an expectation that we move the remainder to, of course, it's going to be new spending, right? The remainder to the budgeting process and/or other tools that we might have? Is that something that we could entertain for the situation right now and try to use the other tools that we might have?
I think the reality of it is that we have to realistically look at what we can increase the budget on year over year. Say a few Hail Marys. If my grandmother was still around, then some of this thing still lasts until we get to the point to what Brian's describing, that we are able to replace things on a schedule that does not put us in a condition where they're coming to us at the first meeting after the summer to say, please, we need 12. So yeah, I agree with the sentiment, and I don't know if I can make a begrudging motion. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'd like to make a begrudging motion.
Okay.
For up to $36,000 for the replacement of 12 Promethean boards. That's it.
To come
From the,
Come from the contingency, thank you, contingency fund, thank you, Paul.
Okay, so there's a motion to replace up to 12 boards at up to $36,000 to come from the contingency fund made by Dan. Do I have a second? Second by Shane. Okay, any comments for this? Belinda?
Promethean board or similar?
Replacement of Promethean.
Replacement
Just
of
replacement.
Promethean, yeah.
Okay.
Any questions or comments on the motion? Ginny?
This is not on the motion, but it's about this kind of stuff. Should we be creating a cycle like
Yes.
we do with our books, so that these kinds of things come in our default budget instead of being purchases that we have to argue, should it come from this fund, should it come from that fund? Where we have our books on a cycle where we're always, we're always buying new ones when we're supposed to per cycle. Should we be doing that with other things, especially our IT things like our laptops and our cards?
So
Things like Promethean.
If I may,
boards.
laptops and carts were in pretty good shape, Ginny. We
Okay.
have, all of those are on a lease purchase cycle.
Uh-huh.
So laptops, we're in pretty good shape. Servers, Switches, other IT equipment, not as much. Certainly, when we think about things like replacement of safety, security things like security cameras, we don't have money budgeted for a cycle for that. So yes, we should absolutely have money built into the operating budget that covers these things. So the compare and contrast between, say, a book replacement might be here at Goffstown High School. If Mrs. McCann has $30,000 to $50,000, she can do quite a bit from a curricula perspective to replace textbooks that might be old or instructional materials. But unfortunately, that doesn't go nearly as far with IT needs. So we could spend $55,000 on one server. So we do need a cycle. The reason we've never been able to build a cycle is because of the just sheer overwhelming cost of it and all of our collective thinking that, boy, we're trying to get a teacher contract, a support staff contract, or whatever the other initiatives of the board are, that we haven't felt real strong about being able to go in and successfully, add several $100,000 to the budget on an ongoing basis. But that is exactly what we should be doing.
Great question, Jimmy. Okay, getting back to the motion, it's a replacement of 12 Promethean boards of a cost of up to $36,000 coming from our contingency fund. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I will now call the motion. So all those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
Nay. Any abstentions? Okay, so we have 5-3. The 3 dissenters are Adam, Vanessa, and myself. The motion passes. Okay. Any other financial information before we move on to the budget and budget timeline, Doug?
So right now, where this stands,
Next meeting.
the encumbrances and the contingency with the auditors is that all of this is still encumbered and still going towards the contingency. So if the board wants to tonight, they could unencumber other funds as well. So that way, when we get to the September meeting, it would be a little bit cleaner as far as what the fund balance is at that. So if that is the will of the board, what I would ask is that possibly we don't, right now we have a difference of, the Bartlett roof section replacement is still kind of encumbered. We can still pause on that one and not unencumber that money, but then unencumber any of the additional money that the board wants to.
And we would encourage that. We would encourage it. So
Yeah.
at this point, if there was a fair amount of comfort, and again, you can debate the roof section. Can the roof section come out of the contingency fund? It could. Can it come out of the CRF? It can. Could it come out of FY26 unexpended funds? It could. So you have 3 options. Our thinking is we would bring that back to the board in September once we have a little more definitive answer. We still had some questions about the roof section, but everything else we would feel very comfortable liquidating and returning all of those funds.
So it'd be almost like a 2-part vote, one for the contingency fund and then one for the fiscal year 26. So it's the green part is a contingency fund. We know we already moved forward with the generator. So it's the rest in the green, and then the blue and the orange are kind of together.
Could you give us numbers of what we would unencumber from this list?
Yeah, so if you're talking about contingency fund, if we do the 75,000 for the truck and the 36,000 for the replacement boards, you'd unencumber 111,000. Well, I guess you'd keep encumbered 111,000, therefore you'd unencumber 590,000. Yeah, so that's probably the better way to put it. You'd unencumber, you'd not set aside for contingency fund 590,000.
Just because I know that we're going to be bringing back the Bartlett roof section in September, why don't we wait till September to do this motion as one, the entire motion as one? Is that okay for us to do?
It is, but then when you get the report from the auditors know that you're making a motion on this, and we haven't got the fund balance yet, but then once they get you close to your cleaner motion that you're gonna have, they have to do some tests on all the numbers too. So it's a lot easier to do the tests on the numbers if only what's left to decide on is the roof than if it's all of these together. So if we want to, they'll be able to do their work quicker if there are motions made tonight.
So what would a motion look like, Doug, if we
So
were going to make one?
be-
Unencumber 590,000?
Unencumber from the contingency 590,000. And then there'd be a second motion, unencumber from the fiscal year 26 kind of encumbrances. That would be, if I take out the 110,000 for the roof replacement, pausing that, that'd be 532,000.
Doug, does that assume the difference between the 510 for the generator and the 353 of what it actually was?
No, because that, we just won't take from the contingency type of thing. So we don't have to do anything with the generator as much. I mean, we could unencumber that amount too. if we
Yeah, I
wanted
would
to.
release it all.
Okay. So,
So let Doug do some fun math for us. But it really is, all the things that are on this list, we're basically saying that we're going to release back. We won't have to maintain this list anymore. We've already decided what the contingency items are. There is one outstanding item that'll be brought back to us in our first meeting in September, which will be looking at the Bartlett roof replacement, which is currently right now at roughly 110,000. That could go up or down once we get a further analysis of what's going to be done.
Mr. Chair, I wonder if, given the 110,000 for the roof replacement, if the board, so right now, the different colors represent the different funding methods. So that particular grouping was under the FY26 unassigned fund balance. If the board is not comfortable using FY26 unassigned fund balance and you would rather use your contingency fund for that, then you could release that 110 from the general fund as well. Because your contingent, your CRF, it exists independent of that. So if the board wasn't, and I'm just speculating, that you might not want to use FY26 fund balance for the roof, if that were the case, then just release it and we can still do it from the CRF.
I think I'm okay with that. So it's basically, you're not going to be using unassigned fund balance for it. I think I'm comfortable with that. Looking around, shaking heads. You're okay with that as well?
use it from the
And-
CRF, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we'll use 110,000 for the Bartlett roof section. We would use CRF funds for that replacement.
I was just wondering their level of comfort using
Yeah.
FY26
Yeah.
unassigned fund balance for that purpose.
Yeah.
But hold on, Greta.
I just wanted to clarify, so that means that money will go back to
Tax
reducing
relief.
taxes.
Correct.
So where we are with the CRF with the addition of 300,000, and then we have 3 years of holding 50,000 each year for the turf, so that's 150,000. And then the board approves such projects as smoke detectors in the middle school and high school, doors at the high school. There is switches at the high school, as well as, there's one more tech thing that the board approved as well. So the running balance as of right now is about 150,000. Now, with that 150,000, if we take out 110,000, we have 40,000 left, but we still also have the whole contingency left as well. So when you have a whole contingency, the CRF balance doesn't have to be, as high as you would need it if you didn't have
I
a decent
think
contingency
there's
left.
been some misspeaking. The Bartlett roof section would go to the contingency fund, not the CRF, is what I thought we were talking about. So we would be using the 110,000.
It was
come out of the
identified,
contingency.
on this particular list, it was identified as FY26 unassigned fund balance.
So when we had the June 15th meeting, we had a public hearing too. And I believe the goal of the public hearing was the contingency fund expenses type of thing. So without a public hearing, I don't think we can switch it to contingency fund. What we can do is not spend the money. There can be a vote on not spending the money, but there can't be a vote on another expense to the contingency fund without another public hearing. Not that that can't happen in the future, but that would have to happen in order
Okay,
to earmark that as a contingency as well.
gotcha. Dan?
It strikes me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the simplest approach here is to unencumber everything except for the truck and the Promethean boards, and then at our next meeting, when we have our final button-up numbers from 26, we can make a decision as to which fund it comes from. Right? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So again, I think the auditors are looking at it as two buckets, contingency. I agree with Dan, contingency and not contingency. So if we take the contingency over 701,000, we add in 157,000 that's not going to be used on the generator. So up to 858,000, then we subtract out the 36,000 for the boards and the 75,000 for the truck, you'd be unencumbering 747,000 from the contingency.
Okay.
Is it all contingency, or is it a combination of contingency and FY26?
Everything, that's all the green, and that's just contingency.
So-
And then if we go to FY26, we would pause on the 110,000. So of the 642,000, which is encumbered by the board, we would unencumber 532,000. And this will allow the auditors to get a lot closer to where we're going to finally end up for the year. If this is where, the direction that the board wants to go with the unencumbering of it.
So if that were the case, Doug, what would a motion look like?
Two different motions. One
Except
to,
47,532.
You got it?
yeah.
Because this basically, for those of you, everything that's in blue is currently assigned fund balance. At our last meeting, we assigned this money in a fund balance, so this would not go back to tax relief. What our second motion will be is basically to take everything in blue with the exception of the Bartlett and move it from assigned fund balance to unassigned fund balance, which goes back to the taxpayers at the end of the fiscal year. So that's kind of the second motion that's going to be out there.
Yep.
And so with Doug's numbers, what we would be having for the first motion is a motion to unencumber the contingency projects in the amount of $747,000. So everything that's in the green except for what we voted for, we would be looking to have a motion to unencumber those funds. And that motion is being made by Dan. I think I saw it. So.
Thumbs up motion.
It is
I've
now.
made begrudging
Motion.
thumbs up. Really knocking them out here tonight.
And then, do I have a second from Laura? So now that we all have our math and magic going on, any further questions or?
Yeah, can you restate that motion fully?
So this is to unencumber $747,000 from our contingency fund.
Okay.
So everything in green we encumbered back in our retreat. And so now we have to unencumber them because we're not moving forward with those projects. So it's kind of that accounting thing we need to do. Any further questions so that we can make an informed decision for this one? Okay. All those in favor of the motion by Dan, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are unanimous. Okay, the second motion that somebody will make is to unencumber our fund balance in the amount of $532,000. And as a note, this is just taking everything in blue that we've unencumbered, that's part of our assigned fund balance, and taking everything except for the Bartlett roof and move it to the unassigned fund balance, so that will be part of tax relief at the end of the fiscal year.
One slide, blue and orange.
Blue and orange, thank you. But again, it's $532,000 we'd be giving back for tax relief.
I'll make a motion to unencumber the $532,000 from the fund balance, actually unassigned fund balance.
I will
So
second.
be moving from the assigned to unassigned.
Yes.
That motion be made by Shane, seconded by Dan. Any questions for understanding? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion from Shane signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Very good. Motion passes. Unanimous. Okay. DOE 25, I know that you kind of somewhat talked about that, Dan. Sorry, Doug, any further things about DOE? Or it's
No,
gonna
not
be
at this
coming
point.
back in September?
Come back in September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Budget and budget timeline. So I know that with some of the state laws that have occurred and passed, it looks like there's going to be a motion on the ballot to have a potential tax cap for our expenditures for the school district of 3%? 3%.
It's
Yeah,
a combination of two things. It's
Okay.
allowed to go up by any new development. So our current tax effort plus any new development, and then multiplied by the
Northeast Consumer Price Index, Urban Northeast section. So the, but the Northeast. So this is House Bill 1300, and House Bill 1300 requires a local tax cap question in the statewide general elections in 2026 and 2028. So the voters will get two different bites at this apple. And it's not a tax cap on the overall budget, it's a cap on how much money your local school district tax effort can be. So we're not taxing the overall amount you can have, we're taxing how much you can raise through taxation. So, and Doug's right, we think we kind of have this figured out, although none of the lawyers do, mind you. We think that we're comfortable continuing to evaluate this, and we'll continue to give the board some guidance on it. But this is going to create a number of issues for us. So in November, on November 2nd, so remember, we have the state primary the day after Labor Day, and then we have the general election in November. At that election, voters will be presented with a question if they want to impose this tax cap. It does two things. Number one, it caps your SAU. So the bill specifies that the central office administrative expenses cannot exceed 6% of the total school district appropriation. We're good there. So Doug's working on the final number, but we're in the 4% range. So we're not anywhere close to the 6%. So we're comfortable with that. But this creates a problem because we won't know whether we have a tax cap or not until after that election in November. So it makes it very difficult to develop our fiscal year 28 budget. It also makes it incredibly difficult to negotiate a support staff contract because we don't know whether we're going to have a tax effort cap imposed upon us or not. So the other thing that this does, and I think this is why Mr. Talbot brought it up, is it changes the budget timeline for the budget committee. So in the past, the school district has always presented budgets to the budget committee in the October, early November timeframe, and historically the town goes after us. The opposite is going to be true this year. They're going to start with the town, and I think that has more to do with maybe some disagreements between the budget committee and the select board last year, but they're not going to take up the school district budget until December. So that means it's good that we will know whether we have the local tax cap effort imposed upon us or not, but we won't know, and it will mean that there's going to be a lot going on in a fairly short amount of time, including finalizing our budget with our municipal tax, with our budget committee, as well as hopefully finalizing a support staff contract that we will be negotiating. So we have to remember that the voters were very kind to us last year and approved our teacher contract, so we already have teacher contract raises built into our subsequent yearly budgets. So we need to find out whether we're going to have that tax cap or not, because that will impose a number of challenges for us.
So what you're looking at in your electronic consent, or electronic agendas is on page 41. This was the preparation of our budget and when we would be, the administration would be presenting to us and when we'd be forwarding on to the budget committee. If you look to the very bottom of the page, we have the presentations of the budget to the school board. So these would be the individual schools, just like what we normally do, would be in October. So we'd go through the district, food service in Glen Lake, and then we'd go through the elementary schools, middle school, and high school at that second meeting. I don't think we want to actually do any kind of school board approved budget before the general election, because the work might have to get redone. So right now, what you see on here is, we would approve a budget October 21st, and then we'd present to the Budget Committee at the end of October. I think those dates are too early and we need to push them out. Even though that we can receive the presentations from the schools on what they need, I think it's appropriate that we get that early, so we can prioritize that. But I don't think we should be doing line item reviews on our budget until after the general election. So I want to get feedback from the rest of the board and even the administration to say, hey, we wouldn't do our line item reviews and we wouldn't plan on approving a budget until probably the first or second week in November at this point. But I wanted to, again, administration, Doug, go ahead and weigh in.
If I could just add on to that. So this is all new for a lot of people, including the Budget Committee. So right now, the Budget Committee has an email out from their chair with a rough draft of the schedule. So it has not been approved by the Budget Committee, as my understanding, as of now.
Oh,
but
thank
it
you for
does make
clarifying
sense
that.
it does make sense that they are moving the school back from the town and they're moving into December. Part of that schedule that's being presented for approval by the Budget Committee is also going back to having the joint informational meeting between the Budget Committee and the school board, so they would join the school board on the 5th and 7th as well, because they just realized how much more compact their time's going to be. So it's going to be hard for us to come back and present it again, and then for them to deliberate in December, where if they hear it in October, then we would present the changes that the school board made before they would deliberate on it, and then they would deliberate in December.
So any questions about kind of the change in schedule? Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I was just going to, we agree with your thinking, Jared. So Doug and I met about this very topic earlier this afternoon, and our thinking was we would still present to the school board as planned in October, and we would call it, like a draft, not knowing whether we have a tax cap imposed upon us or not, that we would do things in kind of draft form, and you wouldn't finalize. We completely agree with the thinking behind that.
So the general election, I believe, is Tuesday, November 3rd. So we would probably look at our first review of our budget, line item review would probably be that November 16th, which is that second week. So it'd be the 16th and the 18th projected for our budget line item reviews.
We're gonna-
Normally do them on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Potluck a turkey dinner here.
I'm okay getting pizza. We're making chili. Yes. Go ahead, Vanessa.
November 16th is on our calendar, but just to throw it on your radar, I don't think the 18th is on our calendar yet.
It would be.
It would be after, okay.
Yeah.
You
So
just-
I'm bringing this out now, and then we'll ratify
Okay.
our calendar after we kind of noodle this at our next meeting. But I
Right.
wanted to throw it out to say I'd like to try to move our calendar.
Thank you.
to
It sounded like it was
accommodate
already done and I panicked because it wasn't in the calendar.
this. Not yet.
I need it here. Thank you.
Yes, Retta.
So would all of the dates that we currently have on our calendars for October still stay the same for our preliminary draft?
Yeah,
And
for the
then-
presentations, they would be
Yeah.
the same. So it'd still be November 5th and November 7th. We'd have the joint meeting with the Budget Committee, hopefully, of all being here to kind of review those high-level presentations that we get.
October 5th and 7th.
Yeah, I'm sorry, thank you, October 5th. And Belinda would, of course, send out any calendar updates that we need.
Okay.
So
Doug.
on that too, then it follows October 19th, 20th, and 21st with school board workshop meetings.
So we would hold those, cancel those.
Would you want to cancel all of them, or would you want to have one meeting to kind of give us some more information after hearing it as well? Because the more information you give to us before, the more we can kind of prepare for that next November meeting as well. Now that that can happen at a different,
You don't know the numbers.
Yeah, I think October 5th and 7th, when we hear the presentations, I'm sure you're going to get immediate feedback of what we're thinking from that as well.
Okay.
It's just we're going to be in that holding pattern until we understand what the voters and the legislative body wishes to do.
so we'd be looking to cancel those meetings and push them more to.
I would say, yeah, migrate them to be those November 16th and 18th meetings. And if we actually have to go the 9th and 11th and then 16th and 18th, doing an off cycle, I'm amenable to that.
And so you want us to bring that back as a rough draft for next
If
board
we could.
meeting for
Yeah.
the board to decide?
Yeah, because I'd like to have kind of a ratification vote on that to make sure that we're all in alignment with what our needs are. I know last year we only really needed one maybe 2 meetings to go through the actual line item reviews, because we did our homework, unlike other bodies.
Shots fired.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, any other questions or comments on this? So this will come back at our next meeting for review and ratification. Okay. Next up, policy DFA, investment policy.
Maybe a little bit quicker. This is something that the board reaffirms every year. So we're not asking for any changes in it. We're just asking for the board to kind of look at it, reaffirm it, take a vote. This is something that we present to our auditors every year too, that's been reaffirmed.
I'll make a motion to reaffirm policy DFA as presented.
Motion by Shane, seconded by?
Second.
Oh, I saw Ginny's hand up first, so
She was.
seconded by Ginny. Okay, any questions or comments? So it's just ratification of the policy. Seeing no questions or comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are unanimous. Summer procurement commodity purchase update. What do we got, Doug?
Yeah, so the first two, electricity and propane, part of what Scott Gross does is he does a lot of the contract work too. We were already at a great spot with electricity, so nothing needed to be changed with that. Propane, we didn't think we'd get a good rate, but Scott connected and was able to extend for another 235,000 gallons at a rate of 1.4895 for propane. So that would lead us going between July 1st of 2028 to May 31st of 2029. So that was great. So thank you to Scott for that. For paper, I emailed it out to 4 different companies, heard back from one, which is our current vendor. They, therefore they got it. They bid in various ways, different color paper, different size paper. And the main paper that we use, they went up by 3%. Last year, they didn't go by anything. So it's really, they went up by 3% in 2 years. So I think we're at a good spot with still stay with WB Mason for that.
Do you need any votes for ratification on those?
No, because those were all things that the board gave us permission to do at the June meeting. So
Very
just
good.
notification on that. And that is all I have now that, maybe I took more than a couple minutes.
A little bit, not bad. There was a lot of information to go through. Thank you, Mr. Cotton. Going on to committee reports. Budget committee report and discussion on budget deliberations. Anything new that we haven't already talked about?
No,
Vanessa?
so Doug alluded to it earlier. Tomorrow is the budget committee meeting joint with the select board. That is here at the high school at 6. And I also just want to give a little shout out to Doug, who took an hour and a half last week to meet with me to prepare myself for budget committee. I just want to, again, shout out, there's regular people out there that need to hear some of these terms in lay terms, and it can seem overwhelming, but, kind of approaching it with the curiosity and practicality mindset. Doug was able to kind of give me some inside info, give me the rundowns on some of the accounts and process as I move into this role. So I wanted to say thank you to Doug publicly, and I'm looking forward to budget committee meetings, even if it's 5 days a week for 2 months. It's going to be great.
Jack and I will support you with any other information that you need. Just
I'll
please
take
reach
that
out to us.
pizza, yeah, if you're offering. Thank
Looking
you.
forward to is a good way to put it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I will be there. Thanks, Jared.
Great, thank you, Vanessa. CIP, Mr. Dan.
Went through all the CIPs. There was a couple of revisions, moving some things back during the course of it. Nothing terribly exciting. Obviously, there's a lot of large expenses hanging out there as far as building and facilities go. But we did put I think a kind of a significant bump into the, I think it's 28 or 29, where it seems like everything's coming out of like one big bond. Whether or not that's where we end up landing is, I think, open for discussion, but otherwise it was uneventful.
Did they approve the CIP laying it out?
The CIP was approved at the CIP, but then it has to go
Planning?
to planning. Yeah, and that's next September 12th.
Okay, you attending that meeting?
I'm presenting at that meeting. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to be there.
Good luck. Good luck. You'll be fine.
Thanks. That'll be fine.
C&E.
We have not met since we last reported out, and our next meeting will be September 15th at 7 p.m. at the SAU.
Thank you. Retta, PNC.
Yes, PNC has been here in this room since 5 o'clock. We had a post-retreat, pre-academic year meeting, so we met for 2 hours. Took a lot of time to go over the retreat notes and remember all the fun things that we did. So first thing, key themes that we took away from the notes, the word of the year is engagement. That's going to be a main focus. Another focus will be on the culture of change and change management. So these are areas that we'll be looking at, building some communications. And when I say communications, we're meaning online, in person, all and everything in between. The projects that we are working on this coming year, so we did focus on our work plan for the entire year. We'll be revisiting what we call the STRATCOM. It's the Strategic Communication Plan that you've all seen. And we didn't have a chance to really delve into that, but we are hoping to revisit that this coming month and bring it back to you and to be able to share with other leadership in the schools. And hopefully, our plan is to wrap that up by the end of the year. We'll also be working on identifying ways to create more engagement, as I mentioned, in person, online, might involve social media. And I already mentioned the work plan. So just a reminder, you should all be getting the notifications from the New Hampshire School Board Association. They do have an upcoming webinar on Wednesday, September 2nd. It's going to be the 2026 Legislative Summary Recap. I know Brian's going to be talking about that, but if you want to hear it from somebody else, they'll be going into that. And there were updates with the vetoes from last week. As a reminder, this is free to everybody on the board. We're members, so all you have to do is register. If you can't go to it, you can watch the recording afterwards. And then for those that are glutton for punishment, there is going to be a preview of the 2027 legislation, what will be covered. That's not until December. Our next meeting is September 14th, so we'll meet just prior to our next board meeting.
Thank you, Retta. Appreciate that. Shane, policy.
All right, the Goffstown PRC has not met since June, but we will meet on September 21st at 5:30 p.m. at the SAU offices at 11 School Street.
Great. Thank you, Shane. SAU 19 Joint Area Subcommittee meeting. I know that Jack is not here. Is that meeting still happening? Do we know, Brian? Is that needed?
I don't believe so. Mrs. Kohler, are you remembering where we left that?
I don't believe so, but I'd want to double check that.
Yeah, as I recall, I don't think that there is a September
I don't
meeting,
either.
so that would be a no.
Okay. It was an if needed. Thank you.
Yep.
And I get Ginny saying no as well. Who's the other
Yeah, I
representative?
don't think we decided on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. Our next SAU board meeting will be taking place in October. Don't know what the date is at this point, so we will make sure to lock down that date and
Yep, for your
present
next
it to the
meeting.
at the next meeting. And then Policy Review Committee is on September 10th at the SAU office. Okay, with that, we'll go to the superintendent report.
Thank you. Mr. Gross is going to come up. He's going to give a part of the superintendent report, as is Assistant Superintendent Kohler. The first piece I was going to do is I was just going to share with everyone, we linked in our agenda and in your materials the legislative summary from the New Hampshire School Boards Association. I'm not going to review this. As you can see, it's, oh boy, 85 pages long. There are about 60 new laws that went into effect between including veto overrides. So right now, Belinda did a great job working with all of those new laws, and we've identified 19 policies that will need to be changed as a result of these new laws. So there's going to be a lot of work to be done by the policy committee. And that tax cap question, which was that House Bill 1300, that was the most important one that I wanted to talk about tonight, and I already had the chance to talk about that. So I want to make sure if any board members are curious about learning more about that, you can look at the materials from the School Boards Association. And as I said, there's about 16 new laws we're working our way through. We reviewed them with our administrators this summer at our administrative retreat. So the administrators are aware of the changes that have been made, and we will continue to work with the School Boards Association on all the policies. I asked Mr. Gross to give an update on facilities and IT work that happened this summer. Mr. Gross.
All right, good evening, everyone. So we'll start off with facilities projects, and this was like the first summer we did not have a major facilities project in Goffstown. In New Boston, not the case where we had to replace their septic system, leach field, you name it, and it was very challenging to get that all done, but it is complete. So great work by Randy and his crew.
And Neville Excavation.
And, yeah, so they, Neville Excavation made this happen because of the short, very, very short timeline. So in Goffstown, some of the noteworthy things that were done is we had to replace about 200 smoke detectors, mostly at Goffstown High School and at Mountain View. And as Doug mentioned, we did bleacher repairs and the grandstand repairs to the softball bleachers and others by the grandstand. You'll recall that we did replace, we approved the replacement of doors. So at Goffstown High School, there were 4 doors in the art wing, and there was also 2 sets of doors in the tech wing. If you recall, we talked about how the fire department, Goffstown Fire Department, was decommissioning all of those alarm systems in town. So those new devices, which are now going to be our responsibility, they're called Starlink. So there will be no longer be any fireboxes, but we do now have essentially the same thing, but we own it, and it's not Morse code like it, and that's really what it was. It was almost like a Morse code type device. So that's been upgraded at all of our schools. Mountain View, the backstop was done, and we have purchased a new gym curtain, and we're still waiting to install that. We removed all the pocket tables at Mountain View. That was the old tables where they came out. That was not the greatest thing, was people would open them and they would fall down. So they've all been taken down, and now there's plywood in its place. And I know that I talked to administration thinking about putting up some graphics to make it look nice in there. If you haven't been at Mountain View, certainly take a walk around. I think a lot of credit needs to go to Jess Milligan, the principal. She really has pushed the envelope with us in terms of we needed to do a better job of painting the place, and we painted, the hilltop. We painted like all throughout the building. Over the years, we've been on a cycle, and you can clearly see how it's making a difference. And I would also put in kudos to the Mountain View custodial team, who this year, despite having our summer school ESY program where it really shortens the ability for them to get in there and do work, they just did a phenomenal job. So I echo with what Wendy said before. Did some work at Bartlett in terms of the bathroom floors. So that was one where we went in and we put new epoxy finishes with those flakes. I don't know if you've seen that application before. And we did that at some other schools as well. As usual, we refinished the high school and middle school gym floors. We installed some lighting at Mountain View Middle School. We had to replace a transformer in room 206 at Goffstown High School. And then, as you can see, we do the typical grounds work. So again, this was a good year for us to kind of catch up on things because we didn't have a major project going on. And great job by Randy, Dawn, and their entire team. In terms of the IT world, there has been a lot. Obviously, we're in the process of replacing student laptops. So at first we got really, I don't know if Tim and Kim, I don't know if you know this, but so our laptops, we went from ordering them, we're good, we're going to get them before the start of school, to, oh no, we have chip delays, and that's going to go till October. We're scrambling on contingency plans, and then over the weekend, Stephen gets an email that they're shipped. So this is the world that we live in, unfortunately. We're also going to be working on battery replacements as well. So as soon as we get all of those new laptops deployed, and some of those were part of what you had approved as a board, then we'll focus in on doing the battery laptops on the laptops that are 3 years or older. These are critically important because we use all of our laptops for testing. So for those in the community who might not know, gone are the days we use circle ovals. Almost all of the testing is now done, using a laptop. So when
State mandated testing.
State mandated. So when people talk about mandates, et cetera, even if you tried to diminish your your inventory of screens and laptops, there's no way to then administer the training. The testing. So we also did panic button replacements in all of our schools. We replaced the PA system here at the high school, not without its own challenges. Fixed some PA systems at Maple Ave. From a cyber perspective, we replaced firewalls. That was part of our CIP process. And that was done at Goffstown High School here at Alt. We started to decommission some old email addresses, which were sau.net, which were pretty old. And one of the big ones, and I mentioned it to the PNC committee, was the IT department has revamped its SharePoint site. So this is where we store all of our documents across the district. So each school has electronic storage, whether it be curriculum assets, training materials, procedures, everything is kind of stored in that repository. And we streamline that whole process, and we're going to be implementing it for this new school year. And we did, I don't want to talk about Prometheans, Doug, because I know that's a sore subject, so I'm not going to, mention that. But we also are dealing with a lot of cybersecurity things as well. We've been working with a company for enhanced cyber security, still doing that. Part of that is the possible migration to a .org domain, which is a bit more secure, but with that it has its own implementation, long time horizon. So tons and tons of work all across in the IT world. Any questions?
Just as a comment about the SharePoint site, I know that when I click on it, I land on the home page, but in the SharePoint site, if I try to go to any of the district items, it says that I need access.
Yeah.
I imagine all of the Goffstown School Board has that.
That will be a topic for discussion, and I will be more than happy to have that with you. Right now, we only gave access to each school's administration, so there's only IT has access to each school. So even many administrators do not have access to other than the SAU, page. So I'll be more than happy to talk to you offline, about that.
I just want to make sure that the members of the body here have the ability to look in any district hubs or what we need appropriate access to, what you think we need access to.
Yes, yeah.
Documents. Fair enough.
Fair enough, yep. Any other questions?
Thank you, Scott.
Brian, is there anything else you want me to cover?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
And my last piece is Mrs. Kohler was going to give an update on summer program, some professional development that was done with teachers over the summer, as well as hiring. Mrs. Kohler.
Yeah, so one of the things I'll mention is at our CNE meeting, I'll be giving numbers about the number of students who participate in ESY, Title I, and our summer success programming. So just for people at home to know, I'll be giving more of an update about that in our September meeting. I do want to let you know that last week we did our professional development day with Collaborative Classroom, which is our new reading program. So we spent a full day and we broke up between grades K through 2 and 3 through 5 to be able to spend time with our new program. Beyond that, we also have a professional development day on September 8th, where in the morning we'll be doing more PD with a trainer, and then in the afternoon all of our teachers will have the ability to work by grade level and to really start doing a deep dive into the program as we get started. So we're really excited about that. I'll also mention that this summer we had at our administrative retreat, we did a full day of safety training as an entire SAU. And that brought us to the planning that we're doing for our full staff in the SAU that we're doing this Wednesday. We will be spending a full day talking about safety and school safety. So a lot of professional development, a lot of time went into planning all of that by our school administrators. So we're really excited about that. I'll also mention that for hiring this year, we're in a really good spot. We just finished almost 2 full weeks of training with our new teachers. We have 14 total new teachers from Goffstown, which honestly is the smallest number that we've ever had for our new teacher induction since I've been in this role. We have some phenomenal new hires, so a big shout out to our administrators for getting us some phenomenal candidates. I'm really excited about that. Our induction program, I think, is pretty special. If you talk to other districts, they're lucky to have their teachers for 1 or 2 days, and we really give our new teachers the opportunity to do little things like get their computer, make sure their email set up. We do all of our Schoology training, go over some really important policies. So all of those things to make them comfortable for walking in with our veteran staff, we do all of that to make sure they're in a better spot to be able to be ready for our students. There's only one position that we haven't hired for at this point. We have a half-time Title I teacher over at Mountain View that we've been unable to hire. So if anybody knows anybody that's elementary certified, we are looking for someone. But other than that, we're in really great shape and we're excited about the school year.
Wendy, shout out to you and to Kate and the administration that did the hiring of that was here during the summer. Great job on that as well.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks for mentioning that. Thank you, Mrs. Kohler.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to old business. I'm sorry, go ahead,
Just a
Britta.
quick question. This is for Brian. You mentioned that the bill 1300, pretty new, pretty complex. Is that something that we should be building out a communication for the people, given that it's a...
Yeah, perhaps. So Mr. Gross and I had that conversation this afternoon as well. So there could be a need to educate the community about this. It's all very confusing, and I think the question itself that is being presented to voters is a confusing question. So that might be something worth some further consideration.
Okay. And even it may be a multi-part communication that happens in different ways. So, anyways, thank you.
Dan, follow up on that?
I'll take it, I don't know if you don't know, but the way I'm reading this is that the tax cap is approved for a district if 60% of the voters across the entire district vote for it. Does that include New Boston?
So no, the tax cap question will be separate between Goffstown and New Boston. There's a further piece about SAU budgets, but that's unimpacted by this.
Got it, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, now we'll shift over to old business, and we'll bring Principal Garzone and Assistant Principal McCann to talk about the next section, as well as Scott, if they wish to join, for the review of impact fees.
So as they're coming up, I'll just give a very quick introduction. We have a shortage of parking at Goffstown High School. This has created probably a couple of decades worth of headaches and grievance for Goffstown High School students and their families. We don't have as many spots as we have students who would like passes. So this is an old problem at Goffstown High School, and I think for the first time ever, we have a solution forward. So we have been evaluating doing a parking lot expansion using our impact fees, and just to provide community members might have heard us talking about this earlier. Impact fees in Goffstown are monies that are paid by developers, and they go to the town and the school district to offset the cost of growth. So a parking lot expansion is a perfect example of growth as a result of more students, more need. So with that, Mrs. McCann, Mr. Garzone, Mr. Gross.
All right, I think it'll be me spearheading this particular one. So you should have a memo in your packets, but for the benefit of those watching on TV and those who might watch this, this has been an issue for a while, and then the board heard a presentation this past June about using impact fees to expand the parking lot at Goffstown High School. At that time, the board, the direction that they gave to administration was to do its due diligence on what it would take to expand, the parking lot and to further fine-tune the proposal so that they can get to a point of decision-making. So hopefully that point is this evening. So as I had mentioned to you, there's a need for parking. Anybody who follows social media knows that there were parking permits that were issued. There has historically been not enough parking spaces to keep up with the demand, and to complicate things or exacerbate the situation, Barnard Park, which is run by Parks and Rec, they have reduced the number of parking spaces to Goffstown High School students because they need those dedicated spaces for citizens in the community who want to walk the track, play pickleball, etc. So totally reasonable request, and on both ends, whether that be not allowing parking at the Parks and Rec building because they have a lot of senior programming, etc. So that's why we're kind of here where we are. I want to acknowledge and thank some local businesses who have also opened up some additional parking spaces to our students and helping with this problem. Nonetheless, we're looking to expand the parking lot, which currently is below the power lines, to extend it to behind the artificial turf field. We believe that we're going to be able to create about 75 parking spaces. One of the things that, in terms of doing our due diligence, is that Eversource has to give us permission because they own the easement underneath those power lines, and they have given us that permission with some conditions. So that is a positive. As I mentioned to you, we did some preliminary costing, and we think that this project is going to be between $450,000 to $500,000. Again, that's our estimate. It could be a little more, I don't know, but that is where we think it will land. In terms of what that includes, that would also include lighting, because we have to put up street lights. We have to add additional ball netting behind, as you know, not everybody has a perfect soccer or lacrosse field hockey shot. So that has to happen. We also have to add some additional security cameras, line striping, etc. So we put in a contingency for that, as well as we know we have some limited ledge that we might have to chip out of there as well. I want to let the board know and the community know that we have a wonderful partnership, not only with all of our town departments, but with DPW in particular. And a shout out to our town engineers, Scott Ozana and Eric Gustafson, as well as Adam Jacobs. They helped come up with the drawings, technical advice, etc. So can't thank them enough. When we talk about this project, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the timelines, but there is a possibility that we could have this parking lot, at least with perhaps definitely like a nitpack by December 1, but the possibility of a base pavement coating by December 1st if we move forward with it. So that is a possibility. As when I wrote this memo, and thank you, Doug, for letting the board know that the number jumped up considerably over 2 months. So at the time, I thought we only had a little shy of 400,000, but now we clearly have ample funds to to do this type of project. In terms of any type of environmental impact, we did solicit the opinion of a wetlands person who did examine that and share with Randy that although it does retain water, it's not a wetland, so we've kind of done our due diligence there. The next step really is a review before the planning board, and that's why I'm here tonight, because the planning board will meet on September 10th. In order to get on that agenda, the school district, which would be me, has to complete a planning board application by this week to get on that agenda. I did not want to complete that application without your approval. The application process, because we are a municipality, is done as a courtesy. But nonetheless, we want to demonstrate to the planning board where we're at with the project, that we did contact Eversource, the wetlands issue, etc. So with that, the timeline, we're trying to get onto that planning board agenda as soon as possible, because then, after we do that, assuming that there's nothing that is going to prevent us from proceeding, we have to develop an RFP, which is a request for a proposal, and then get it, publicized, and then get bids back with the hope of having construction start in mid-October, mid to late October. And according to one contractor that I talked to, that there is a good possibility that this is about a 6-week project, 6 to 8 weeks. So it's aggressive, but I think it's possible. If the weather cooperates, it is very possible. As a recap, we reviewed this project with the Planning Department Director, Joanne Duffy. I also want to give thanks to Patty Gale, who's the Planning Department Assistant. She's really helpful on the whole application process. Town Administrator Derek Horn was consulted about the impact fees and the use of that. No concerns there. This is clearly an expansion project, as well as all the folks at DPW and Parks and Rec. The one thing that we did talk about was that this is a parking lot, and DPW's conceptual plan calls for a small detention pond so that the runoff from the parking lot would be pitched to go into a pond. So as part of the RFP process, we would expect the construction company to hire someone to make sure that the detention pond is scaled or big and is adequately sized to retain that water. But other than that, this is not a big school addition type project. This is a relatively minor project, all things considered. It's a parking lot. So with that, more than likely, we are going to get what's called an as-built, meaning that we're going to have, as part of the RFP, they're going to provide us with documents as to how they built this parking lot. They'll have to provide the methodology for the size of the detention pond that is called, but other than that, it's pretty low intensity construction, if that is. So with that, I'm requesting authorization to proceed with a presentation before the planning board on September 10th, and that by doing so, you would give me authority to fill out the application this week. And then depending upon the outcome of that, I would need your formal authority to proceed at your next meeting, which I think is September 14th. So we'll be coming back, at that time, because we've already been before the planning board at that time. So that's kind of the timeline. It's, so we've been working on this, but we kind of need to move it along. And I think if we do, we have a pretty good shot of getting a lot of this work done by December 1st. Again, weather permitting. It's all about the weather. Dan?
How many spots short are you to cover junior and senior?
More than that.
It's
I'm sure.
right around there. We were about 80, and we held a few, which we'll release when school starts. So it's going to be somewhere around 65-ish short of what currently today, August, whatever, before every junior gets their license throughout the course of the school year. So 75 would get us a little bit beyond what we would need today as the school year goes on. If there was a waiting list, some students might be able to get one before the end of the year, but this would get us pretty darn close to what we would need.
Scott, did we consider just like a gravel space that was larger to be able to accommodate more spots? I don't know if we ever went down that path, but just trying to think of...
No, essentially, the space is what the space is. Whether you pave it is a different
So we
issue,
couldn't go
but-
further or wider?
No, because boundary lines prevent us from going further beyond, as well as the power lines itself and it would cost way more,
So were we to add more parking in the future, it would not be around that spot?
Yeah, so
Okay.
if you'll recall, this is not just for Dan, but this is for all of you, we looked at conceptuals of a 90-foot baseball diamond behind the current field. If you'll recall, that include building a road adjacent to the first base line, and then it would connect to that field. That particular road would also have 25 additional parking spaces. So there is an opportunity to do that in a first phase of a potential field, so you'd pick up immediately the road and the parking spaces, and then as more money came online, then you build the field. So there's possibilities there as well.
And just something to add to the conversation, in addition to the day in and day out school day need, hosting events, be it athletic events or theater
this
events.
past weekend.
This past
Yeah.
weekend, we had jamborees on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're beyond capacity when we hold events. So it's not just the school day, it's also public and community events that we host.
And I didn't highlight, but I should highlight it, is one of the side benefits of this project is when we built the turf field, due to constraints, monetary constraints especially, we did not have an access road to the press box.
Yeah.
This would allow us to at least gain access to the press box, going down the road with a maintenance type vehicle. Right now, we have to go over the grass soccer field and do it, which it's doable, but not when it's raining. It's not a great thing. So there's another side benefit to this project. So I think it's a win-win, much needed. Obviously I just need the go-ahead from you folks to make that application and to represent the board.
Other questions or comments?
Sounds like a great Christmas present to kids.
Siobhan, anything from you?
I definitely think this is a great idea. Probably one of the most common complaints I hear is, oh, I didn't get a parking space, or like so many people complain about this, and I think that adding 75 would definitely help the problem.
Yes.
If I could mention that, having the parking passes is important for students, and I understand that, but it goes beyond just getting back and forth to school. For a number of our students who have after-school jobs to be able to get to, if they don't have a car here and they're trying to get home on the bus, which, as we know, some of our bus routes are pretty long, especially going to New Boston, they can't get to those jobs. For a number of our students who are participating in, whether it's co-curriculars, whether it's athletics, if it's an away game, they're coming back after the late bus. So if they have a parent who's working second shift, it's hard for them to be able to get home. So this is beyond just getting back and forth to school. This is making sure our kids have access to things after school, not just school related, but for work and career as well.
Other questions, comments? Just as a general note I want to make to the board, this does come with an opportunity cost. $757,000 of impact fees could have also been used for baseball. So if we do go forward with this, we are acknowledging that we are going to be deferring a Division I baseball field as part of our plan. So I just want to make sure that we're cognizant of that if we are choosing to move forward with this. With that, any other questions or comments, or I'll entertain a motion to authorize the superintendent and their proxies to prepare for a planning board to add parking spaces to the Goffstown High School parking lot. That?
Yeah.
Motion made by Dan
Yes.
to authorize superintendent and their administration to go forward with the planning board to present the addition of additional parking spaces to the student parking lot at Goffstown High School.
Second.
Seconded by Adam. Any further questions or comments? Ginny?
In that you brought up the baseball field, do we have places for kids to play baseball in the spring?
Mr. Grisone? Yeah, so Lions Field is currently available for
It's still
our
available?
varsity.
Okay.
I think we've had this discussion before, not necessarily meeting the needs of what a Division I high school host would look like for a field. So as far as JVs, we are a little bit in limbo. They play most of their games on the road. When St. A's regular season finishes, they do allow us to use their field. Our varsity team heads over there for our home games, and then JV uses the Lions Field for about the second half of the season.
Okay, so we'll still be able to have a successful baseball season for kids?
I'm sorry.
We'll continue to have a successful baseball season for kids, field-wise?
It's adequate. I would say.
Not wonderful,
I would say
yes.
it meets the need, but I don't foresee that being the case.
Long term?
Yeah, long term, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Dan?
I would just add that I recognize the need for the baseball field. I think this beats that only because it affects a wider part of the student body and almost captures all of the folks in the junior and the seniors that I think Wendy described well. That, a 90-minute ride home really kind of pops the bubble for the afternoon.
I don't know if it's worth noting, but I think the estimate on the baseball diamond was north of
It's 1.5.
1 point.
Yeah.
So the 750, while it's,
A portion of it.
yeah, it's not
It's not gonna
necessarily
get you there.
one or the other. It's not going to get you there.
I just wanted
Sorry,
parents.
just Laura.
Oh, no, just echo what you shared, Dan, and also just wanted to see, has any other businesses or anyone come forward, seeing as there'll be last September through November, even if this does go forward in terms of spaces? Anybody else adding to, since you've lost the Barnard spaces and some other?
I'm only aware of one local business, and there are several neighbors that partake in this. I don't know whether they charge or don't charge, or they do it out of the goodness of their heart, but that's kind of where we are currently, thus the reason why we're looking at to do this. Ginny?
I just wanted parents to, be sure that we will have a baseball season. That was my only comment.
Thank you, Ginny. Vanessa?
It's not a comment about baseball. I just want to say out loud that those businesses will also provide a service to the sophomores who turn 16 October 1st and beyond to do the same exact thing to get to and from. So it's not just the seniors and the juniors that are impacted. The local businesses and the local families that step in, this would be helping the underclassmen out a little bit more.
Did we have a second on Dan's motion, Belinda?
Yeah, me.
Yeah, we did, Adam. Thank you, Adam. Okay, any further questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to let the administration present to the planning board signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are unanimous. Yes, Scott? Mr. Chair, would it be possible to go to new business so that, with regard to the theater project, because that's what they're here for as well, and we're all up here, in case there are any questions? Just the theater? Just the theater. Not the overnight trip as well? I don't know, that's your call. Okay, I'm just asking.
I don't think we need to be here for those.
Okay, yes, I will take that. So we will move into new business for a moment, just so that our administrators can get home. I appreciate that. Ready? So we'll be going to new business, subsection A, GHS Theater donation acceptance and MOU with Bedford Youth Performing Company.
So as everyone's aware, we are a few years past our renovation down in the theater that was really focused on the front of the house and the seating and the experience of the audience. There is still a good amount of work to be done to continue to bring the theater to ideally where we would like it to be. Big one that will continue to be back there and we'll continue to mention at some point is storage. If you don't know, that space was built with a federal grant in the 1970s for instructional space. It was not designed to be a fully operational theater. The backstage that you see is the back wall of the building. So there is no backstage, there are no green rooms, there are no dressing rooms, there are no bathrooms. So at some point, that's a whole other project that we're gonna wanna continue to keep on your radar.
We have plans for
But-
it. We have
We
plans.
do, they exist. But in the meantime, do we have a deal for you? The other big issue that we continue to face is challenges with the lighting system. So because of when it was built, there's a single lighting bar, as you know, that's over those first couple of rows of seats. It does not adequately cover the stage. And we probably have a third of the stage that has adequate
performance lighting. And so if you have seen a show in there recently, sometimes the darkness is not an intentional choice in the production. So we are in a place, however, that we feel we can move forward with a vast improvement of lighting. We brought in MFI in the spring to take a look at where we were and make some recommendations. Putting in side lighting, which we have never had, would make all the difference in the world, and it would cover the entire staging deck at any time in a production. What MFI has proposed is putting on both sides of the stage 2 booms that would each have 3 lights. So we would bringing in 12 additional lights that would be coming in from the sides and would allow us to utilize the entire space on that stage. The cost to do that is just under $38,000. Electrical work that needs to be done is an additional $3,000. The Performing Arts Department, their concessions, their fundraising money can pay for the electrical. We have $8,500 earmarked in this year's operating budget for lighting. The class of 26 designated $14,000 on their way out for a lighting project. We have discretionary funds and principal account funds totaling $10,000 that can be put towards this. So we have right now $32,500 of the project for MFI. We have the $3,000 for electrical. And then the gap of this, about $5,500, the Bedford Youth Performing Company in Bedford is willing to donate to make this project happen. If you don't know, we've had a 10-plus year relationship with them. Ann Davison is our theater person. We contract with her. She provides staff throughout the year for us. Every Friday they run a theater club. They do improv shows during the school year. She provides staff to direct our summer musical so that the students have an opportunity to work with different individuals in those roles and help better build their skills. We constantly are tapping into them for borrowing costume pieces, set pieces, and they have utilized our space for some of their smaller productions over the last few years, and they are interested in using the theater for all of their programming in this coming school year in future years. And so we would be looking to ask the board to accept the funding from them in exchange for an agreement, a memorandum of understanding, in which for the next 3 school years, that when they are here, they would pay for custodial services and technical support as needed, and we'd waive the rental fees. In addition to, the lighting, honestly, the staffing they provide far exceeds the co-curricular piece that Anne receives in that role. And additionally, they have an individual who comes in as a choreographer for our program in the summer, and what we provide in compensation does not even come close to their professional expertise. The individuals we receive are former Rockettes, are professional actors, and they just bring a wealth of knowledge to our kids that really already far exceeds what we get in return from them. So
if I could add that this, like MOU, would be substantially similar to what we've done in the past. If you'll recall, we had one with softball where they made improvements to a field, very similar. Spoiler alert, you're going to see another one coming of these in exchange for Mountain View. We have an organization that's looking to put up lights on the fields of Mountain View in lieu of facility use fees. So there's a lot of these types of things that community members are looking to do, and it's a nice way of kind of leveraging and improving our own facilities, and knowing that there are facility use that are being offset. So but it's the nice part about it is that there are a memorandum of understanding and there's an agreement. So if you're saying that you're going to do something in return, it's good that we get it. It's not a handshake, it's actually a written agreement. So Personally, I'm very supportive of this, and I prepared for the board on the last page of the memo, and I know that it kind of stinks to have to do all these motions, but if this is something that the board is in favor of, you technically have to approve and accept donations. Because as Kim mentioned to you, you have like 4 or 5 organizations or groups that are making donations. You don't have to hold a public hearing because none of these exceed $20,000 by state statute, but you still have to formally accept the donation. And then the other motion that I had is to allow me to execute the multi-year agreement, as Kim mentioned, with Bedford Youth Performing Company. So again, that's on the last page of the memo in your packets. There are a total of 6 motions. 5 of them are to accept all of those donations, and then the last one is to allow administration to execute an MOU.
What questions do we have? Adam first.
So this $37,921.64 is a very precise number. Is that a set in stone number? Could it be 38,000? Could it be 37,500 when all is said and done?
Again, it's my understanding that this is first of all, MFI is not a company where there is a dozen of them. So this is like highly specialized. This is not something where you go out to bid on.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of sole source.
Yeah.
So this is their estimate that they have given us. So, could there be something that could pop up? I guess, but it's kind of unlikely. They are a very specialized company that does this type of work. There are hardly any competitors.
Yeah.
So, and it's somebody that we have used in the past. For those who've been on the board for a while, this is not our first time upgrading lighting. Right. We tend to do it. It's a multi-year project. This is going to get us, for the most part, very, very close to the finish line after another couple of years of budget dollars. So in the worst case, we would have to use budget dollars if there was a minor
which would not be
shortfall.
significant, but
Right.
if it goes the other way, say it's under, say it comes in at 36,000, which of these buckets of donations is that $1,000 go?
we would
back
come
to? You know what I mean?
back to you. More likely than not, it would be a
To
principal's,
and from,
it would be a discretionary type fund
Yeah.
that the high school has. That's where it would go.
Vanessa, did I see your hand now?
Nope, it wasn't me.
Ginny.
Kim, do you think that there's enough, I don't know how to put this, but with all of these groups using the stage, because music uses the stage, Bedford would be using the stage, drama would be using the stage, that there wouldn't be any hassles between, we want to use it, there isn't any room to put our musical in, or do you feel that that's a working environment?
We do. We had sat down and we had looked at the calendars collectively. Really, so it would be adding in December. They do annually the best Christmas pageant ever. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the story. They stage that, so that's a Friday, Saturday event, and it would be a week off of our annual Nutcracker. They do historically their musical in March, which is a quieter time on the stage for us. After our musical, we have the dance gala in the spring, and we do some improv type stuff. So we are not typically in rehearsals at that point.
Okay.
And then they would be looking to come in for one additional big day in June for all of their annual dance recitals.
Okay.
And they do 5 in one day. They start at 10 a.m. with the 2 and 3-year-olds, and they finish at 7 o'clock with the high school age students.
And as far the musician part of it, like
No impact.
no impact
Yep.
at all? You've spoken with them? And
Yep. Yep.
As long as we don't have any school board meetings in the theater, we're good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you did, now you'd be able to read what was in front of you.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Dan.
Just a question, this all sounds wonderful, let me say that, and I want to apologize for making comments at 9:20. But as far as the $5,400 from the Bedford group, is that comparable what you would see to them for like a rental revenue over 3 years? Like it's pretty close to an even exchange?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so, thank you.
Laura?
Agreed, love the collaboration with the community. I just had a quick question, Scott, on this proposed motions, number 5. It references $4,500 from the class of 2025.
Yeah, that's a separate, I put that in there only because I didn't want to have to come back to you at another school board meeting. We got another donation, so I added that in there. The class of 2025 has made their discretionary donation of $4,500 to go to the, to apply towards future senior banquets. So it's ancillary to this theater proposal, but I just figured I would, because I was just notified of it, we might as well have you make that motion because it's dealing with Goffstown High School. These guys are here. That's why I included that one.
Okay, so that's not part of the...
You got it.
Okay.
That's correct. I'm sorry for not clarifying that earlier.
Okay, let's move forward. Does anybody wish to make any motions about this project?
I'll make a motion to accept the proposal as given.
Unfortunately, I need
More than
them
that.
all done. So I'll tell you what, I'll read them off and then someone
Okay.
can say so moved. Remember that, Brian?
Yeah, we don't-
From that one school.
I can,
board?
I'll read it.
Oh,
I got it, I got
Thank
it.
you, Dan.
I got it. And I haven't shut up all night, why start now? First one, move to accept a donation of $14,000 from the class of 2026 designated to support the Goffstown High School theatrical lighting project.
Motion by Dan, seconded by Adam. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Unanimous. Number 2, Dan.
Move to accept a donation of $5,000 from the discretionary account to support the Goffstown High School theatrical lighting project.
Second.
Seconded by Adam. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're unanimous. Number 3.
Cross-eyed here. Move to accept a donation of $5,000 from the principal account to support the Goffstown High School theatrical lighting project.
Second.
Seconded by Adam. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? You're unanimous. Number 4.
Move to accept a donation of, oh boy, $5,421.64 from the Bedford Youth Performing Company to support completion of Goffstown High School theatrical lighting project, contingent upon the development of a multi-year theater use agreement in lieu of the facility use fees.
Second.
Seconded by Adam. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Say nay. Any abstentions? We're unanimous. Number 5.
Before I read this one, my daughter is a theater nut coming into the high school, so I want her to know I'm reading all these for her. Move to accept a donation of $4,500 from the class of 2025 to the general discretionary account designated to support future senior banquets.
Second.
Seconded by Adam. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're unanimous. And then a motion for the agreement for an MOU. Dan?
If I could have a drum roll, please. Move to direct the administration to coordinate a multi-year agreement with the Bedford Youth Performing Company regarding theater use for larger public events in lieu of theater facility use fees.
Second.
Seconded by Adam. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Scott, do we need a motion for funding the project of up to $38,000 for MFI? Because I don't think we had a proposal or a motion for that.
I don't think we do. Doug, do you think we need anything? It's all coming from donations.
Yeah, if we have access to the money, then,
Right.
yeah, I don't think we do.
I don't think we
You don't
do.
need it? Just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I guess we would need to,
It wouldn't hurt.
it's over 20,000.
You know what, while you're here, it wouldn't hurt to do it,
Yeah.
so.
So
We like
I'll accept a
motions.
motion from Dan to have the MIF proposal project for the theater for up to $38,000. Made by Dan,
Second.
seconded by Adam. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Before we go, I am going to continue the modification of the agenda for new business. Look at the GHS 26-27 overnight out-of-state field trips. Didn't know who was presenting on that, but since you're at the table, I figured
we'd get it done.
Yeah, so this is a practice that we started about 2 years ago. Prior to that, we had brought all of these as individual requests. So Mrs. McCann has always kept us organized. So now you have one sheet with all of the anticipated, I should mention that this is in your packets.
Page 102.
Thank you. So this is the list of the current anticipated overnight or out-of-state field trips. So we would be asking for your approval of said list.
What questions do we have? It looks like we have some September, November, December, February. Retta, questions?
Yeah, are any of these new from last year? They're all the ones
No,
that
they're all
we
repeats.
approved last year. Thank you.
I do see a potential for an out-of-state or regular season football game.
They did that in the past. We had done scrimmages with, I can't remember what community in Massachusetts, but there was some kind of a Massachusetts football thing that we went to in the past.
So it's not on the docket for this fall. It is something that I think with a new coach, we wanted to keep the door open for.
Okay. Okay. Any questions about the overnight field trips? Because we will need a motion to approve these, correct?
Yes.
Oh, God, individually.
No, you can do it as a list.
All of it. So I'll accept a motion, so Belinda can start typing. I'll accept a motion from somebody to accept the GHS overnight and out-of-state field trips as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Laura, seconded by Dan. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I will call the roll. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are unanimous. And then for the last part of new business before we jump back into old, the HUDL, student CPR DPA authorizations.
So let me just give a little bit of an intro, and then I'll have Mr. Grisone and Mrs. McCann speak to this if needed. So Mr. Bourget provided a memo for us. So we have to have what's called a data privacy agreement for all companies and all software. There are 2 platforms that we use, and they do not have a DPA. One is Huddle, and Huddle is an online platform that's primarily used for athletics. And all of our athletes who aspire to being collegiate athletes have to have a Huddle portfolio of evidence of them playing in games, etc. So Huddle is something that is important to our student athletes, and it also allows coaches to use the platform to break down film, to evaluate performance, etc. So Huddle used to sign the agreement, and then they stopped signing the agreement. And unfortunately, they are kind of one of one, and we would be at a significant disadvantage if we did not use Huddle. The second platform is Student CPR, and Student CPR is the assessment that we use for students who take CPR and first aid here at Goffstown High School. In order to be certified, you have to take the assessment. To take the assessment, we need to have a DPA. So specifically, they require...
So in order to get your card that said that you are certified for CPR, you have to give your email address, and that's the piece that's missing as part of the DPA. So parents give consent to give the student's email address in order for them to receive their CPR card. This occurs in health class. Most of our students take health during their sophomore year.
So those would be the 2. Mr. Bourget was on a roll for motions here. We could have attacked one along at the bottom, which would be to reauthorize Huddle and student CPR for the 2026, 2027 school year because they lack a DPA.
Go ahead, Wendy.
Could I also mention that as part of signing up for sports, parents do sign off that they understand that information is part of Huddle. I know that Mr. Balke talked about the highlights that students are able to give to college recruiters, but our coaches also use it because they're able to take snippets of things from games and send it to players on the team for coaching and mentoring to find out how they can continue to better their play. So there's a lot of pieces to it beyond the highlights as well.
Questions? Comments? Ginny, this is a so moved because Brian already said it. Go ahead.
I would just say too, if you don't have documentation of your CPR, like your little card, any of our students that are going in the health field, it's just as though you haven't taken CPR. So that's really important for them as well.
Other questions, comments? So the verbiage that Brian used was to request the school board reauthorization of the use of the 2 digital platforms of Huddle and student CPR for the 2026-2027 academic school year, and have the problems re-reviewed for the start of the next school year.
So moved.
Motion by Adam, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Vanessa. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are unanimous. Thank you to the administrators. You're welcome to stay, but we understand it's one week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Let's go.
How slow they're moving, how disingenuous, just run.
And good luck with the opening of the school
Thank you.
year.
Yes.
Okay, switching back into old business. We're going back into our old business, section B, which is the second read of policies, and I turn the meeting over to Shane.
All right, so we have a number of policies that we need to adopt or affirm tonight, or send back to the committee. But they've gone through a couple of reads already, so I assume that we can scrape through them. So first, I will make a motion to approve policy BEDB, or I'm sorry, to adopt policy BEDB, agenda preparation and dissemination.
Motion by Shane, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Vanessa.
Questions, comments, concerns?
All those in favor of adopting policy BEDB as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are unanimous.
All right, the next one is EBCF, pandemic/epidemic emergencies. I'll make a motion to adopt policy EBCF as presented.
Motion by Shane, seconded by
Second.
Ginny. Any questions, comments? All those in favor of this adoption signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are unanimous.
All right, the next one is ECAC, vandalism. I will make a motion to adopt policy ECAC as presented.
Seconded by
Second.
Vanessa. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? We are unanimous.
All right, the next one is policy EFA, not the EFA we usually hear about, but availability and distribution of healthy foods. I make a motion to adopt policy EFA as presented.
Motion by Shane, seconded by
Second.
Vanessa. Questions or comments? All those in favor of adoption signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're unanimous.
All right, the next one is GBCD, which is the criminal background check. It also there's also GBCDR, which is criminal background check regulations. Would you like me to do them separately or together?
Together.
Together, perfect. So I make a motion to adopt policy GBCD and the regulation GBCDR as presented.
Questions or comments? Who seconded? Adam seconded because he raised his hand.
I'll second it too, but I do have a question, I guess.
Question.
In that whole legislative packet, one of the new bills or whatever requires, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, if I'm reading this wrong, but requires a criminal records check at every recertification.
So,
Is that, I don't know if we need to be, how clear we need to be in this, because it says like,
yeah,
You
I
can
think that's
require-
fine.
it's
So
necessary.
that bill is one of the ones that made me pretty happy because I have long advocated for teachers having, anyone working with children should have their criminal record check done on some kind of a periodic basis, and that is not the case for educators. So I really appreciate that one snuck in.
yeah.
And I was going to make a clarification on that also. What was it? don't remember what it was. So yeah, let's move on.
Okay, so we have a motion by Shane, seconded by Adam. Thank you, Adam.
Oh, I know what it was. If it's not in the policy, state law always trumps policy, so.
Yeah, that's what I just.
Yeah, so we would likely go back and put that in there, but
Yeah.
we'd be operating with state law, so.
With what Adam has said, though, does that require an MOU with our current contract with the GEA?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
All those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous.
All right, the next one is GBCE, Training and Information Relative to Child Sexual Abuse Prevention. I will make a motion to adopt policy GBCE as presented.
Motion by Shane, seconded by?
Second.
Vanessa? Questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're unanimous.
All right, and the last two are JRA, Student Record Access, and JRAR, which is Student Record and Access Regulations. I will make a motion to adopt policy JRA and regulation JRAR as presented.
Okay,
Second.
Motion seconded by Adam. Any questions? Go ahead, Laura.
Quick question, just looking at the draft that we have, it looks like JRA-R, the regulation says delete.
JRA looks
It
clear. I
does.
think you're talking about, if you scroll up a little further.
Student
that's the-
records and
that's the
access.
old one.
Ah.
There you go.
Oh, wait, hold on.
So the regulation is being
Is the regulation being consolidated into the policy?
consolidated into the
Yeah.
policy itself.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I see.
So I'd like to amend my motion. I would like to, where are we?
Adopt JRA.
Yes, all right, there we go. I would like to adopt policy JRA as presented.
I'll second that too.
Okay. Friendly amendment has been accepted. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are unanimous.
I would like to make a motion to delete regulation JRAR as it is now contained in policy JRA.
Second.
Second by Adam. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are unanimous.
All right,
Okay,
so.
moving to policy deletions.
Thank you, sir. So we have the second read policies. As you remember, we were going through the alphabet, A, B, C, D. We are now on the E's. So these are policies that were recommended for removal.
We can do these as one.
Sure. All right. So I will recommend, I'd like to make a motion to remove policies EC, Buildings and Grounds Management, ECB, Building and Grounds Maintenance, ECD, Custodial Services, EDC, authorizes use of school-owned materials, and EDCA, employee use of cellular telephones.
Second.
Motion by Shane, seconded by Adam. Okay, no questions or comments? All those in favor of these policy deletions signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? We are unanimous. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So there's also 1, 2, 3, 4. There are four first read policies that are part of the E group as well that we are recommending for removal. So again, this is just a first read, so please take a look at those. And if you have any opposing thoughts, like they should be kept or they should maybe be updated and kept, anything like that, please let us know, and we will come back and talk about those at our next meeting.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Shane. Okay, that actually brings us through our new business, since we are in hyper-fast mode right now. So that brings us to staffing. Turn it over to the superintendent.
Thank you. So the staffing sheet, everyone should have a copy of it. We have a number of track changes, notifications only, no action required of the board. So congratulations to our wonderful teachers who have continued to advance their education. Also, notification only, we have a teacher assignment change for one of our teachers. We have 2 leaves of absences, and we have 3 student teachers. It continues to please me to see student teachers. We continue to need great people to go into public education. So any chance we have to bring in student teachers is something that we believe in as a system. For your approval this evening, and I'm just going to do these in the big categories, we have SSS resignation. SSS is our Student Support Services. There's a group that is a non-union group. We have a couple of teacher resignations. We have 2 leaves of absences. We have 1 nomination to replace the person who just resigned. We have a couple of teacher nominations, and then we have co-curricular and sports nominations on the back page.
Do we need to do these bulletized separately?
You don't have to.
Okay. So I'll accept the motion to accept the approvals that have been presented to us.
So moved.
Motion by Vanessa, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Adam. Questions, comments, statements? Give people a moment to look at these, make sure that there's no conflict of interest that might be occurring. Go ahead, Shane.
I just hope that all of our new teachers, returning teachers, coaches, administrative staff, administrative assistants, other staff members that I'm missing, custodial staff, hope you all have a great school year. It's going to be awesome. So, hope you all have a great year.
Any other comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Call all those in favor of accepting these approvals as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are unanimous. Okay, so we are through staffing. Any other business to come before the board before we go into any potential non-public? Retta? Three. Five, timeout.
3 things.
3 things. Those are the 3 things. Thank you. It's been a long summer for Mr.
Yeah.
Talbot. So what are the 3 things that we have, Retta?
Okay, so I'm going to throw, and then I've got one other thing I'd like to bring up, which will take 30 seconds. So the 3 things I have,
Parking lot.
no, where did I write it? I don't have an agenda. Okay, so the first one, fund balance. Yeah, the parking lot.
Okay.
Second one was the vote on state election November 2nd, and that was what Brian talked about, that we have the caps. That was around the caps. And then the third thing I had, and I've got a fourth if we need one, the third was the parking lot. So those are the 3. There were actually others, so if anyone feels strongly that we should swap any of those out.
Can you reiterate fund balance, vote on state election?
That would be the budget caps.
Yep.
And
And
the-
number 3?
And number 3 is the parking lot.
Thank you.
My only non-negotiable was the parking lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
That could be number 1, we could write it 3 times. Okay, good. It's late. The other business that I would like to propose, one, I love the going paperless. I would also love to have, I've already talked to Belinda about this, to have a printed agenda so we can keep track and take notes. It's hard when you have to go back and forth. Plus, we have at least one souvenir from the meeting.
I will say it was tough to scroll. between
Yeah.
that.
I think I'm definitely in concurrence having the printed agenda, just so that we have that, as well as other things.
I can't really say so moved, but so moved.
And just to provide greater context, with us going to the paperless agenda, we're hoping that we're going to be able to send this out by Thursday, if not Friday the latest, before our meetings. That way we can have the agenda published, we can have the community understand what's going on, and we have the material to review. I know it's very difficult. Laura, I do want to thank for sending me a text message this morning to say, hey, what's going on? And it's just, we're all getting back into the swing of things. But
Yes.
this is the exception. Hopefully, we can set what the standard's going to be going forward. With that, we do have some non-public.
I have
Hold on,
one more thing.
Mr. Todd.
So I apologize for this. I was going off of 2 spreadsheets, one online and one, the paper I handed out to everyone. The paper I handed out was not updated from the board's decisions at the June 15th. The board had moved the $110,000 for the Bartlett roof section replacement up to the contingency. So I think that probably led to some confusion, which I kind of heard while I was going through this, but then my visual math wasn't making sense. So this is more of the math that needs to make sense, where you had your board decisions on 15th, and then your decisions now. It's only leaving money in the contingency, so it would be lowering the contingency by that $637,000. And then the fund balance, as far as where the board was tonight, it was zeroing out all of these things that were encumbered on the 15th. So unfortunately, I would need to correct those two motions for the audit, where one would be unencumbering $637,000 from the contingency fund. And then the second one would be lowering the fiscal year 26 encumbrance for fund balance by $642,000. So I hope this makes a little bit more sense. It's still the same total amount, it's just that Bartlett roof was up in the contingency bucket, not the other one from the board decision from June 15th.
Color coding failed us.
So, because our motion was 747,000 for the contingency and 532 for the fund balance. You're saying the new numbers are 637,000 for contingency and
To lower it by- yep.
642
Yep,
for fund balance?
yep.
And Belinda, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I want to make sure from protocol, were we unanimous in both those votes?
Yes.
Okay. The reason why I ask that is if somebody was not in the prevailing, they could not make a motion to reconsider. So we need a motion to reconsider these votes from somebody before we can make them.
I'll make a motion to reconsider the vote on the contingency fund and the fund balance.
Okay. I'll accept that.
Second.
Seconded by Vanessa. So we are reconsidering the votes that we already had. So the new number for the unassigned fund balance, the unencumbered funds from the contingency fund would be 637,000.
Wait, sorry, don't we have to vote on the motion to reconsider first?
No, I thought we already did, but yeah, you're right. Okay.
It's a long neck, Jared.
Thank you. At least we got the first part right. That we actually did. So all those in favor of reconsideration signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Abstentions, we're unanimous. Okay, now the vote would be for the unencumbered contingency funds to be 637,000. That
Dollars
motion is
less.
being made by,
Less than what was voted on June 15th.
what's the number?
So,
37, right?
well, it's 574,000.
574.
Okay. hold
What?
on.
Where did
You
that
get on
come
that,
from?
Belinda?
First motion.
Okay, so the first motion is the 574 on the right-hand side, top box in the middle, right? That's what we're talking about?
I thought
Yeah.
637.
Talking about this? Okay. I was looking at the number below it.
Yeah.
Motion to, whatever that was, 574,000 out of the contingency fund to unencumber.
Unencumber them to move back to the
Yeah.
unassigned fund
contingency,
balance.
Yes.
So move back, so that is the 637, so on the 15th, the board
somebody
encumbered the
tell me to pick up thing
1.211, and now tonight you're encumbering the 574, so it's a difference of the 637. So it just depends on what you want to say. I mean, if you really want to clear it up for the auditors, you might just say from the June 15th one, we are now only going to seek contingency funds of $353,000 for the generator, $36,000 for the Promethean boards, 75,000 for replacement plow, and $110,000 for the Bartlett roof.
And everything else is being
Everything else is,
Unencumbered.
unencumbered.
yes.
So is it fair to say a motion to unencumber 574,000?
No, we'll unencumber 637.
A
637,000
motion to unencumber 637,000?
from the
That's
June
correct.
15th vote, yeah.
From the,
From the contingency.
From the contingency.
From the June 15th vote from the contingency fund.
Yeah,
Yes?
sure.
Yes.
You're
Okay.
doing great, Dan.
All right. Dan's doing this one?
637. Motion by Dan, second by Adam.
Adam?
Questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? We are unanimous.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, go to town.
I'll make a motion.
Wait.
Yes.
wait,
Are
no,
you
Brett is going to.
moving to non-public?
No,
Oh,
Not for this part.
I'll make a motion to unencumber $640,000 from the assigned fund balance back to the unassigned fund balance.
Perfect.
640.
642.
642.
642.
From the assigned fund balance
From assigned
to the unassigned.
fund balance.
And that is seconded by Mr. Adam.
Okay, Shane, okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? We are unanimous.
Thank you, and I apologize. Thank you.
Glad you caught it now versus the next
Good
meeting.
catch, Doug. Thank you.
Quite all right. Doesn't matter. No, it does. It does matter. It doesn't matter, it's just late. Okay, so we're going to go into non-public, correct?
Can I
We
just
are.
say one thing
Yes.
before non-public? So
Yes.
this was one of the three things, and we made a decision, and that's what they'll hear in the recording. So
I
I'm
would make
going
it
to
bold.
do two start points.
One
So
A and
they'll
one
get
B.
the first one and the second one together.
Sounds great, Retta. Good job. Keeping that together. Okay, so what are we going to non-public, Mr. Superintendent?
Let's go under 91A32I first. Consideration of matters relating to the preparedness for and the carrying out of emergency functions, including training to carry out such functions developed by state or local safety officials that are directly intended to thwart a deliberate act that is intended to result in widespread or severe damage to property or widespread injury or loss of life.
So moved.
So we have a motion by Shane, seconded by Dan. Okay, we will go roll call. Dan?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
Yes, we are now in non-public, and we'll go to our...
Yep, we're going to go down to the main office call.